Mike Tirico.
Hey, Mike
Hey,
Tirico.
Mike, hey, Mamma Mia.
Mike Tirico, come on, Pardon My Take.
On today's Pardon My Take, we have Kirk Goldsberry in studio talking ball, NBA playoffs with him. Some of the things we said, we taped it on Thursday afternoon. Some of the things we said, we turned out to be prophetic with our knowledge of ball. We also have Randy Moss back on the show talking Preakness, giving you some winners. He's got a couple races that he absolutely loves both Friday and Saturday. We're going to talk Celtics Heat Game 1. We're going to talk some PGA Championship and Fyre Fest of the week. Great Friday show to send you into a great sports weekend. It's all brought to you by ourselves, Barstool Sports Store. Don't overthink your Father's Day gift. Remember, your dad is richer than you, so don't try to buy him something expensive. He either already has it or you're going to make yourself look financially irresponsible, stupid, lose. We have new Barstool Sports. We have new Pardon My Take gear in the Barstool Sports Store. We have all kinds of things. Dad rope hats, polo quarter zips, coffee, Stella Blue coffee for your dad. Everything in the Barstool Sports Store for Father's Day. We just launched a ton of new merch. Go check it out. Store.barstoolsports.com. Shop now at store.barstoolsports.com right now. Awesome gear. We have new shirts, new Legend shirts that are really comfortable. Your dad will love them. So check it out right now. Store.barstoolsports.com for all of your Father's Day gifts. Don't get him a book. Don't get him a tie. Don't get him, do get him a golf club cover. Get him the Pardon My Take one. So go right now, store.barstoolsports.com. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Pardon My Take. Today is Friday, May 19th, and Jamal Murray was on fire. The Jamal Murray Game, PFT.
I was going to say Jamal Murray has arrived officially as like a clutch postseason player. That fourth quarter was awesome. Go Nuggets.
23 points in the fourth quarter. A game that it felt like for the first three quarters that the Lakers, the Lakers did what kind of we expected. They slowed it down. It was a lot, it was a lot slower pace, lower scoring than game one. They had Rui Hachimura just being the Lakers. I'm expecting during this entire run, one of their guys will always step up and be that guy. Tonight it was Rui night. I think he started 7 for 7. But the story is Jamal Murray. And him just absolutely being so on fire in the fourth quarter, winning that game for the Nuggets. And also the story is LeBron James looking old for the first time. Because PFT, whether it was the missed dunk, whether it was, the flops will happen. But he missed a layup, when they were down 4 with about 20 seconds left where he stole the ball. He just, for the first time these playoffs, he looked a little off. You can maybe say it's altitude, but his three-point shooting is atrocious, which we'll talk to Kirk Goldsberry about. And it felt like one of those games that if LeBron had played just marginally better, the Lakers probably steal one.
Don't forget his late turnover either. He lost the ball in the paint for the second straight game at the end of the game. He looked old. The missed layup or the missed dunk was hilarious because he tried to send a message with a dunk. He tried to do like a cool dunk on the breakaway. Just kind of dribbled off his leg. Shout out Rick Pitino. Went into the second row, and it was hilarious. It was one of the more funny plays I've seen LeBron make recently. Two-handed layup counts for the same amount of points as a dunk, LeBron. That's just a message to all the youngsters watching at home. Put that thing off the glass. High glass, go up strong, come down under control. Also at the end, he should have dunked it when he tried to lay it up and he missed that layup. Just dunk it, LeBron. You're huge. You can just dunk on people. Don't try to get cute with it and lay it up. And also the flop was maybe my favorite LeBron flop of all time because he did get poked in the eye a little bit or near his eye.
His eye attacked Jokic's hand.
Was his eye in the protected circle?
His eye went after Jokic's hand. Yeah.
His eye poked Jokic's finger, and then he fell to the ground, and he slid about like 15 feet into the stands, into the front row, knocked a drink on him. So maybe he was thirsty. Maybe he wanted just a gin and tonic. We know that LeBron likes a little sip every now and again. And then I do have, as much as I love the Nuggets this year and last year, and I love their fans, they seem like they're a very chill fan base, except for the guy that got the shit kicked out of him at the Suns game last year. They are kind of a bad sports town for giving LeBron a towel to wipe himself off with after he slid into the stands.
Yeah.
You don't do that. You let him get up wet. You don't try to make him comfortable. You don't dry him off. You're not LeBron's towel boy. Okay, have a little respect for yourself.
You actually should Jason Kidd it and pour even more of your drink on him. Remember when Jason Kidd accidentally dropped a drink to get an extra timeout? Like, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was a game I thought the Lakers, like watching the first three quarters, you thought the Lakers were going to win because they were doing a pretty good job with Jokic. And I mean, he still had a triple double, right? Like, yeah, he still had an easily triple double
and 3 steals.
He's so ridiculous. Like, he rolls out of bed and gets a triple double. But with that said, like, it did feel like they were at least making him work a little bit more. LeBron was guarding him in the fourth quarter, and then Jamal Murray just stole the game. 23 points. 23 out of the 32 points the Nuggets scored in the fourth quarter were Jamal Murray, who, by the way, when we talked to Kirk Goldsberry, we had forgotten or never knew that he's Canadian. So a big one for Canada, huge one. They can't win a Stanley Cup, but they might be able to win an NBA title. But yeah, the Nuggets, they hold serve, because I do think that this series is going to be who can win a road game. Like, I know the whole cliche, series doesn't start till someone wins on the road. The Nuggets have struggled on the road. It was clear the Lakers were struggling in the altitude. So will it just be one of those series where everyone just holds serve at home?
I stand by it, Nugs in 6. And the dumb thought that I always have when it's hockey or when it's basketball that's being played in Denver is, does the altitude travel indoors? I don't know. If they're playing inside a dome, is the air inside, is it good oxygen or is it thin air? I don't know the answers to these questions, but it certainly seemed like the altitude played some sort of a factor. Especially, you could make the argument on a lot of LeBron's misses that he had. He was missing long. He was hitting off the back iron. Maybe the ball traveled just like half a foot further. Who knows?
0 for 10 now from 3-point in this series. I just let him keep shooting them. He can't make them. He hasn't been able to make them, so just let him keep shooting them. It did feel like they wasted the Rui Hachimura game. I did see a great anecdote come across my Twitter timeline that I wanted to share with you. This is from Myron Medcalf, ESPN. He said, one of my favorite Rui Hachimura stories is that one time he was in practice at Gonzaga, and Mark Few said he'd made a dumbass play. Hachimura, who didn't speak much English then, smiled wide because he thought Few was comparing him to Domantas Sabonis, who is nicknamed Domas. So I like that.
It's a Domas
he seems
play.
like a fun guy. Domas play.
That also begs the question, how many more good Rui Hachimura stories are there? If he says one of my favorite Rui Hachimura stories before this.
Well, whenever a guy gets on fire this late in the playoffs, it's usually like anecdote season where everyone's like, hey, this one time I met Rui Hachimura. So yeah, that's true. Like, was that, what is he holding back?
There's got to be some other good ones in the tank right there for sure. It did. Yeah, you're right. They messed up the Rui Hachimura game, and it feels like he's good for one of these each series.
It is also funny that you it's a great point by you. Like, whenever someone has these games, the anecdotes, like, it's almost like a eulogy on Twitter. Like, this guy that no one knows about, let's just start talking about him and telling weird stories.
Yeah, here's how weird this guy is that's scoring a shitload of points. Lonnie Walker, when we had the Lonnie Walker game that happened, the videos of him being in the hot car when he locked himself in a car with a dog to educate America about how hot it can get in a parked car when it's hot outside. Yeah, I love the weird stories when it's like, can you believe this is the guy that just dropped 20 on you?
And this is like on our deathbed. Hopefully we live long lives, but these are how sports fans pick up little stories about players that you'll never forget. Like, you'll never forget Rui Hachimura. You'll never forget Lonnie Walker. Like, all these guys, when they have their moments, they're seared into your brain forever, and you can answer trivia on them for the rest of your life. And that's just, and like, you'll forget birthdays, you'll forget numbers. You'll forget phone numbers, all like important stuff in life to do your taxes, Hank. But you'll never forget these random players. And Rui Hachimura is more than a random player. He was a lottery pick, I believe. But still, like, this is how we gain knowledge as sports fans that we don't need, that we'll always retain.
Yeah, so I watched this game with my mom again, and I made a couple notes because she's not what you call like an NBA fan per se. I mean, she knows some of the players, but she was giving me running commentary. So I want to walk you through her analysis of the game, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So on Jokic, she calls him Yoke, which is, I like that name. I like the name Yoke for him. She says Yoke looks like he should not be able to move at all, but he actually moves quite well somehow. Yes. I hate his haircut. He would be more attractive with American hair. His head's too small for his body, but that's all right.
It is.
That's a fact. It is. It's a little small. On Austin Reeves,
his body's just so large. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. Like, his head is probably massive.
His head's probably a fine size. It's just his body. His body's too big for his head is really what it is.
But that's all right. She made sure to say, but that's all right. On Austin Reeves, he's the other white guy, right? Out of all the white guys, I like his haircut the best. I like his haircut better than Yoke's.
Austin Reeves has a little bit of like the Alabama swoop going from 20 years ago.
A little bit, but it's not quite the full-on frat boy swoop.
Right.
It's like the frat boy's friend from out of town that comes to visit once in a while because he wants to see what it's like at a big state school.
I want to call my shot real quick. Austin Reeves is going to get a cool haircut next year. He's definitely gonna like upgrade his look and maybe add some tattoos. Yeah.
I would like to see him go with a mullet, actually.
That would be sick.
That'd be sick. Show up on like a dirt bike. On Rui Hachimura, she said, he was on the Wizards and I try not to pay attention to them. Like mother, like son.
Yep.
On LeBron, it would be hard to be him or be on a team with him.
Facts.
And then I think that puts it quite well. Like LeBron James probably, he's got a good life because he's rich as shit and he controls basically the entire media right now. But at the same time, probably difficult to be LeBron James.
Yeah.
And then she asked me if he was better than Jordan. And I said, that's a question that you're going to have to think about for yourself and answer. And she
when
said,
she's listening to this back, no.
Well,
the answer is no.
Her point was that he's played more years than Jordan, so he's kind of a stat compiler. So what she wants to do is just take how many years did Jordan play?
It was like
13,
14 or 15. Well, if you don't count the Wizards, I want to say it was like maybe 15. Let me pull it up. Well, because also the baseball.
That's mean to just say if you don't count the Wizards. That doesn't
true.
count as his NBA career.
Well, if you don't count them, you should also remind your mom that we've had a great advancement in medical sciences and HGH.
Yeah. I did allude to the fact that he has a strict diet of steroids and red wine.
Oh, I nailed it. 15.
Okay, so if you take
13 if you don't count the Wizards.
So 13 if you take LeBron's first 13 years, who's scored more points? That was her question. I don't know the answer to that question, but I think it's more fair way to judge it. And then she just wanted to know over and over again why they don't call traveling anymore.
Yeah, all good points.
I think she knows ball.
Yeah, she definitely knows ball. Big time ball knower. That's the Austin Reeves. Like, yeah, he's got the best haircut out there, probably of all the white guys.
Of the white guys, yeah, out of all of them. Well, I guess it would be Jokic, and then it would be Christian Brown. Christian Brown, right?
Brown. All right. So other things we got to talk about. PGA Championship. Softest delay in the history of sports, the frost delay. I got into it with Grass Twitter this morning. I understand, like, there was a bunch of, I don't even know what the major is. What is the major? The I think it's just golf course management that they take, I believe, in college. So the golf course management majors all came out and they're like, look, you can't step on frosted grass. Totally understand. I get it's a major. Not? But when you see, I guess it breaks the grass, which is already broken because it's bent grass. Either way, if you can't just, like, I woke up this morning I was waking up with my kids like, oh, I'm going to get to watch free sports early in the morning before, like, the world wakes up here. Frost delay. You see frost delay, that's soft. That is soft. There's frost on the grass. We can't play.
It's a soft sport, but in its own weird way. Like you have to take into account that these are golfers.
Of
So like
course.
this is the most hardcore thing that a course can do to set the tone. That's what it did.
Yeah.
It let the golfers know that it was there on day one, hour one.
Although, as course guys, which of course had a great day, I would like the course to just step up and be like, I don't care if I have frost. Like, go ahead, step on me. You break a little grass, that's fine. Either way, it was a great morning because I got to basically take the delay of the PGA Championship and instead just get a bunch of people mad at me about grass, where I was just literally laughing like after every tweet, just being like, who is even arguing about grass? Like, I've started an argument about grass. This is my favorite argument I've ever been in because there's nothing you can do to change my mind to tell me that you can't play golf on frost. You could play golf on frost.
Sodfather right now. You could play golf on frost. You know what's going to happen? There's probably going to be another frost delay on like maybe Sunday on the final round, and then they're just going to have to go out there and play. So the course will hopefully give another frost delay and then just be like, bring it on, bitch.
Yeah,
I'll take you anytime, anywhere. But this is why golf should be played indoors.
Yeah.
Build an indoor course.
Give me your best. And then the other two stories from it. So Bryson did play well, which was unfortunate. Although I guess the feud's over, so we can't hate him anymore. And he also Bryson just got too skinny again. I liked when he was jacked. I liked when he was just looked like a freak and was just pushing the boundaries of how hard he could hit a drive. He went back to skinny Bryson.
Yeah, I don't like it, but he also did hit a guy on the tee. You see that? He had an errant drive. I think he pulled it to the left, and this poor guy was about to tee off. I hope it was Patrick Cantlay, but I can't be sure who it was. And he called 4 left, and the guy ducks out of the way, and the ball just whomps him right on the tee box. That's very relatable. That's he is one of us now, where he misplaces drives so badly that it lands in the fairway of the other hole.
Yes, and did you see the video of Tom Kim, the golfer who? I've never seen anyone have more mud on them from we didn't even get to see the angle of how he got the mud on him, but he was covered. He was absolutely covered. Did you see the video? It was incredible.
And then he goes, "You want to smell my hand afterwards?" Fellas, we've all been there. Am I right?
It was fucking great.
Yeah, that was, great day for the course. I give the course an A+ on day one of the PGA Championship.
I'd agree. All right. Anything else that we missed that we have to talk about? Go watch PMTV. Max's photo shoot that he didn't realize was fake, and he came in on Monday morning and took a bunch of pictures with his soul patch. Great PMTV. Max is just shaking his head. Right now, for people who don't know, it's just me and PFT. It's old school. We have everyone else back in studio with our guests as well. But anything we missed? I don't think so.
I think it's pretty clean intro there. One thing that you did miss in the intro to the show, not only do we have Randy Moss and Kirk Goldsberry on the show, we also have Mike Tirico on the show today.
Yes, and Mage.
At least on the
Mage.
Yeah, and Mage, the Kentucky Derby champion horse. Yes. Yeah. Now they might only appear on the YouTube version of the show, so you have to subscribe to that to watch it. But
yes, go watch it
in the background. And credit to us for not stepping over any lines when we saw Mike Tirico pop up, because we thought about saying a lot of things
and we didn't. Should we put Mike Tirico and Mage in the title?
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
With special appearances from Mike Tirico and Mage, the horse.
It's a foursome for the boys today.
Yes. Great guests for everyone. Okay. Well, let's kick it back to ourselves. Back in studio. Also subscribe to the YouTube, because I think Sunday night we will all be in studio and we're going to stream Celtics Heat. So Jake versus Hank Sunday night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely subscribe to that. We did miss talking about Dustin Johnson. Did you hear what Dustin Johnson said on Wednesday when he was getting ready? He was doing his press conference that all these guys do, where basically all the live guys go out there and then they have to answer questions about live for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They asked him about his bad back that he's been going through, and he insinuated strongly that he got a bad back from banging his wife too hard, which respect, massive respect.
Big
Paulina Gretzky. Yeah. Hey, I've got a bad back, Big Cat. You've got a bad back. Am I right?
Yeah, it's true.
You know.
Yeah, things happen. Also, Brooks, love to have him back on. I wish he had given us the quote, I would start stroking guys. because he did say that when talking about penalties for slow play. He said, I would start stroking guys. Could have used that on the show.
Yeah, stroke them till they finish, Brooks. Make them finish.
Make them finish faster. That's what
Real
you got to do.
fast.
It's actually you got to stroke them harder.
If you stroke them and then you keep stroking them, you show that you're not kidding about stroking them hard, fast, consistently, and make that a thing that they can come to expect, they will finish.
Mm-hmm. Maybe spit in your hand before you stroke them.
I don't get it. What do you mean?
Oh, one last thing we did forget to mention: hockey. The conference finals did start. The Panthers won, and then they didn't win, so they scored a goal in overtime. Didn't count. Billy actually, probably the first time in PMT history, Billy tried to beat everyone to the congrats text, because usually when one of our teams wins, everyone will congratulate them on the text chain. It's very nice camaraderie. Billy said, congrats, Jake. And I was like, dude, that's not going to count. And so Billy, maybe the first time he ever beat everyone to it, didn't actually count, which is very Billy. But the other hockey news we have is we are officially a Golden Knights podcast. So Alec Martinez is an AWL. We found out. I still hate him for 2014 and the Kings scoring the overtime goal against the Blackhawks in Game 7. But we'll put the past in the past. We needed a team. We are a Golden Knights podcast. We're rooting for the Golden Knights. We want the Golden Knights to win the cup.
Well, I think that we said that we like the Golden Knights out of all the 4 remaining teams the best. We said the nicest things, but I think everybody else we gave what some might consider to be backhanded compliments towards when we talked about their cities. The Golden Knights are fun, I guess. They're the funnest team left. And Alec also said that he listens to the show to not hear us talk about hockey, which you picked the right podcast, buddy, especially this
did. Yeah, we almost forgot to talk about it. Also, I just wanted to. People see I'm wearing an A's hat. I feel bad for A's fans. A's fans. I decided. I've been getting it. I listened to the Sonic Boom podcast. I think came out like 4 years ago about the Sonics, Seattle losing the Sonics, and it just dawned on me that the A's are getting such a fucking raw deal, and the city of Oakland's getting such a raw deal. They lost the Warriors to San Francisco. They lost the Raiders to Vegas. They're going to lose the A's to Vegas. So I'm standing with A's fans for all the. I don't know how many are left. I don't think there are any left. So I'll be the last one standing. I'll turn off the lights at the Coliseum.
Well, what are they going to do about the possum that's living in the press box? You can't bulldoze the stadium. You can't explode a possum and its entire family with dynamite to get rid of a stadium, right?
Yeah, dude, they are. Yeah, it's sad seeing every game where they're like, no one's there. It's basically they're doing Major League, but there's no happy ending. That's essentially what's happening right now. I actually saw a stat. Someone tweeted what each team would have to go for the remaining of the season to break the 116 wins in a season, and I think the A's have to go like 93-10.
Yeah, no, they're very bad. Are you? My proprietary formula is right on the money again this year. So I moved off the Bucks, the Buccos, the Pirates. And I'm fading the A's every game this season. It's a winning formula. It really is. Yeah. Shout out to Oakland though. I do feel bad for them. And also, it seems like there's some funny stuff going on in Arizona with the Yotes.
Oh yeah.
We got to talk to Biz about that and figure out what we need to do to keep the Yotes in Arizona.
Yeah, it just sucks. Whenever a city loses a team, it fucking sucks. And I was buying a new Cubs hat and I saw the A's. I was like, dude, their logo is awesome. And I feel really bad for their fans. So I stand in solidarity. Fuck owners. Fuck cities that won't help out, even though owners should probably pay for their own fucking stadium. But either way, A's fans, I stand with you because it sucks.
I'll also say something nice about the A's. They have the best grass in baseball. When they get that pattern cut into it and mowed exactly correctly, I'm talking like light green, dark green, diamonds everywhere in the outfield. That to me is like what I grew up watching, and that's what I'll remember the most about 90s baseball probably is how fucking sick the outfield grass was in Oakland.
And how big their foul territory is. Goes on for days. So, if you're an A's fan listening to this show, you're an AWL A's fan, tweet us and let us know that you heard it because we're going to stand with you. We can't do anything except maybe we'll just bash the owner of the A's like every couple weeks.
Who is the owner of the A's?
Let's find out. Fucking A. This guy, he's on our shit
for
list.
World of Hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's kind of fucked up that he not only is moving the team, but he's also somewhat anonymous. John Fisher. Fuck you, John Fisher.
Piece of shit.
You fucking dick.
You greedy dickhead.
You're
Suck
a
my
bitch.
balls.
John Fisher,
my
if I
taint.
saw you, I'd hiss at you. I would hiss. I wouldn't, no, nothing physical. I'd just go a nice right in your fucking face, John Fisher. You
I would pants
bitch.
you.
Oh,
Somebody should pull your pants down in public, John.
I would
Fisher.
distract him so that you could pants him.
With your hissing.
Yeah.
The old double tap.
Yeah, fuck you, John. Yeah, maybe we tabletop him. That's actually, that's a pretty embarrassing thing to get tabletopped.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I've tabletopped
We should
somebody.
bring that back.
All-time schoolyard prank. The table. We should get Billy. Billy's definitely not going to listen to this.
No way. We got to tabletop him. We got to tabletop him on
tabletop
Sunday
Billy.
night. Yes. All right.
I'll go low, you go high.
Okay. Yeah, and then he'll blame me. And just be like, God
Yes.
damn it, you're always fucking with me. All right, let's kick it back to ourselves in studio, and a special fuck you to John Fisher. Okay, before we kick it back to ourselves, we are sponsored by C4 Performance Energy. Energy that hits. C4 Performance Energy provides explosive energy you can feel with clinically studied carnosine, beta-alanine, and 200 milligrams of caffeine for enhanced endurance, all with zero sugar, zero artificial flavors. We've been drinking C4. I know Billy loves his C4 PFT. I love my C4 too. It's delicious. C4 Performance Energy is 6-time undefeated boxing champion Devin Haney's top secret training and fight night weapon. He's been picking up a can of C4 before training for years, and he drinks one before every fight. It gives him the energy he needs to be as explosive in the championships rounds as he is in round one. If you want undisputed energy to power through your workouts, then you want C4 in your corner too. So get C4 Performance Energy, the yellow can, at findc4.com. Amazon and retailers nationwide. Get C4 Performance Energy, the yellow can, findc4.com. That's the website, or Amazon and retailers nationwide. C4 Energy gets you fueled up, ready to attack the day. I like to drink a little C4 before I go lift some weights. Feels great. So C4 Performance Energy, the yellow can. Find C4.com, Amazon, and retailers nationwide. Okay, Celtics Heat. Oh boy. To quote the recently fired Doc Rivers, don't play with your meat. It feels like the Celtics have a proclivity to play with their meat oftentimes. They were at halftime, looked like they were going to cruise. You saw the Heat give their best shot in the first quarter, and then the third quarter started, and Eric Spoelstra made some halftime adjustments, and Joe Mazzulla was either getting choked out or watching the town.
Yeah.
And is Joe Mazzulla a weird guy? Can we just do a side like
For sure.
He watches the town four times a week?
For sure. So that's I saw that story and I did the math on it because the town is 2 hours long, which means he watches 8 hours of the town per week, which means he watches 17 days worth of the movie The Town per year.
He seems like he's giving off weird guy vibes.
Well, that's like
No, the town is a classic.
Yeah, but Hank, you have to admit that's like Nick Sirianni level without all the coaching prowess.
4 times a week is a little much, but I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't seen that movie, I don't know, 500 times.
4 times a week? Do you do anything 4 times a week? Besides golf?
I knew that was coming.
I do like the phrase, whose car are we taking? He had that sweatshirt. That is kind of a rally the troops championship DVD type of phrase. But yeah, that's a lot. 4 times a week of watching a movie is a lot. Either way, Spoelstra made adjustments. It felt like Mazzulla didn't. And then the Heat scored 46 third quarter points, completely blitzed them. No timeouts from Joe Mazzulla during that stretch.
No timeouts.
0 timeouts.
And then perfectly, the fourth quarter started and the Celtics went on a 7-0 run in about 90 seconds, and Spo went immediate timeout, being like, "Hey, why don't we stop letting them score all these points?" Yeah, Hank, are you nervous, or is this because this is one of those weird games where it was bad for the Celtics, it was bad for Tatum in the fourth quarter, but you can also point to last series having the same thing happen in the first quarter, and last year having the same thing happen in game 1 against the Heat. So where do you land?
It's unfortunately I am a little bit nervous. I wasn't, overlooking the Heat by any means, but this is just unfortunately how the Celtics are. This is the team you have to live with. It was like this last year. It was like this against Philly. Games that they should be winning, they just take quarters off, and then they lose. The not calling a timeout thing was crazy. Watching that third quarter, they couldn't get a stop. They didn't call a timeout. They didn't do anything. They weren't getting Tatum the ball in the fourth quarter. Well, Jaylen Brown has had some terrible luck with just falling, getting these crazy wet spots on the floor. It happened in the Philly series where he was just driving and hit a wet spot, smashed his arm. Happened again last night.
They were getting Tatum the ball. He traveled on 2 possessions back-to-back with under 2 minutes, which when was the last time you saw that in the NBA?
Yeah, it was crazy. And the second one, I think that ref should actually call up and downs. I don't like that it's a travel.
Yeah.
It's called the penalty, the violation is called up and downs.
Yeah.
Game 2 is a must-win. Game 2 is a must-win.
Okay, that's smart. Now, I did see a stat that in the history of the Heat-Celtics playoff series, the Celtics are 0-4 against the Heat in Game 1. So this is kind of tracking along with that.
What is it, 2-2 lifetime? Well, 0-4.
They're 0-4 now in Game 1s against the Heat.
They've played the Heat more than 4 times now.
I don't think so.
Played them 3 times in the last.
2012 was the LeBron stare, Game 6, and then 20 last year, this year. Those are the 4 off the top of my head.
So they're 1-2 in those series where they start 0-3 until this year.
The Heat, Jimmy Butler in the playoffs is 7-1 in series when his team wins the first game. The only one is last year when the Heat lost to the Celtics.
So it can be done.
But
this does take the Jake womp off the table.
It does.
So Jake doesn't have to quit.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry. I do think the Celtics will win Game 2, but this is weird to watch where they, similar to last series, they kind of fucked around, and the Heat deserve a ton of credit because the Heat are better than the Sixers. And more than that, the Heat are just tougher. Mentally tougher than the Sixers. Jimmy Butler has more mental toughness than the entire Sixers organization combined. They aren't going to be scared of a fight. And you saw it when Jimmy Butler's like, I'm taking over this game. What do you have? I think he had 6 steals. He was all over the place.
7 assists, 6 steals.
Shout out Kevin Harlan, by the way. He is the best.
Jimmy frickin' Butler.
Yeah, he's like, he intercepts him again.
I thought he dropped the hard F-bomb on that one.
No,
yeah.
I love that.
But
Jimmy frickin' Butler.
Kevin Harlan is the best. He's basically a fan watching the game, but obviously incredible at calling a game. His enthusiasm matches the moment of a fan watching it.
Jay Butt is also so smart. I don't think he gets enough credit. I think that he's super tough, obviously, but he's a really smart basketball player offensively too. And they're running a bunch of plays where Jimmy would drive towards the basket and then drive away from the basket towards the baseline and just find space on the court. The lost art of the mid-range jumper.
Yep.
Jay Butt's bringing it back.
Yep.
And also to all the haters that said that Jay Butt wasn't athletic, suck my dick.
Yeah, he's very athletic. They are tougher, though. They're a lot tougher, so that has to scare you a little bit, Hank. Even Bam.
1-on-4, there was one play where he just wrestled and got a jump ball out of it.
Embiid is a better basketball player than Bam. Bam is tougher.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to be tougher than the Sixers. That's kind of the thing where it's
a good point. That's
pretty much anyone's tougher than the Philadelphia 76ers. But it still ultimately comes down to the Celtics beating themselves. They had some open looks at the end of the fourth quarter. They just missed. They missed a couple threes. They had those 2 turnovers. I don't think the Heat beat us as much as we beat ourselves, which has kind of been the running theme with the Celtics the last few years. They missed a lot of free throws again, which is just infuriating. But if they play their game, they will win this series. They just have to not let up in the third quarter. They have to execute down the stretch. So I'm it's not good to lose Game 1. I think if we lose Game 2, I'll be officially panic button out. But I think if we win, Game 2, we're back.
The Celtics as a team feel like they have ADHD.
Yeah.
That they really as a team they need to be prescribed Ritalin, Adderall, Vyvanse because they just go stretches where it's are they even focused on this game?
And they don't have the kill. They go up 10 and it's okay, when is this going to swing back? They don't have the all right, let's just go up 25 except for Game 7, I guess. against the Sixers. But most of the time,
That's also the Sixers.
right. Yeah, it's like that was more like the
Cowards.
Sixers just rolling over and us
pet my
patting their belly.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough. We're done. There's no more Sixers talk here.
No,
I think it's fair to compare. I mean,
Why?
they just got done with the series.
The Sixers are done. The Sixers are dead.
Right.
No, but
Let's go into
analyze what happened in the last
Heat
game that
Celtics.
they
Heat
played.
Celtics.
difference. Yeah,
before this game.
Heat
Because
Celtics.
it is like night and day watching the Heat and the Sixers compete.
right. Like I think the Celtics are in more trouble.
Who won Game 1 of the last series?
That
talking
was
about
why
the
we
game
compared it.
four.
So
talking about game
let's see what happens.
That's why we compared it.
Let's see what happens.
But I'm
Right.
talking about Game 7, which is the most recent game.
If
until.
the Celtics win in 5, do the Heat still have all this great, rah-rah?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
They're the
this
AC.
game was crazy.
They shouldn't be here.
Yeah. But
yeah, but as was it Matt Barnes that said like the Heat aren't your average 8 seed?
No.
And that's so true.
because Jimmy Butler just in the playoffs is totally different. My point, Max, that you got very triggered about. You're triggered. It's okay. You're triggered.
You mad?
Well, I mean, it was enough.
Well,
It was enough.
my point is, I don't think the Celtics have a margin to fuck around as much against the Heat. That's really what my point is. Because you have not only the Heat being a tougher team, but the Heat being a superior coach team. Spo is the best coach in the NBA, so you can't mess around with the Heat.
No.
What sucks is you kind of squandered a Robert Williams offense game because he looked really good offensively, and then so did Marcus Smart. What do you have, like 11 assists in the first half?
Yeah, he
10.
was awesome. He had some sick
Yeah.
passes.
He did have
Yeah,
some sick
he had some
passes.
sick
Yeah.
passes.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it wasn't the worst game. The third quarter was bad, and I think the fourth quarter, I think Horford had a missed 3, Jaylen Brown had a missed 3, and then they had those 2 turnovers. Like, 2 of those things goes the opposite way. It's probably a closer game. Celtics might have win. You can't have 5 turnovers and 2 missed shots in the last 5 minutes and
And
win.
2 travels.
Yeah, well, that's
The
a
travels were
turnover.
crazy.
Turnover is travel.
Yeah,
All
but
travels were nuts.
one was up and downs.
As Joe Mazzulla mentioned, the Celtics did win 3 out of the 4 quarters.
I was about to say.
Oh, huge.
We'll go back
he
to
said
the
it.
state.
He said it.
Huge.
We'll go back to Hank's stat from last year. If you win the majority quarters, you should win the game.
That's
Well,
enormous.
that was correct.
So you're really up
Yeah.
3-1.
Yeah. Yeah, on aggregate, you guys are doing just fine.
Yeah.
Just don't let a 46 piece get dropped on
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna watch the
Q3
town.
really
I'm
killed
gonna watch the
corporate
town.
Hank.
And Hank, you will be in the building on
I'll be
Friday
in the
night.
Oh, you're
building
going?
Friday.
Shout out
Yep.
game
Shout out
time?
to game time. Gonna get some last minute tickets. Code take.
PMT.
Code PMT.
You know what's funny is that means that Joe Mazzulla watches probably, I'm going to say, 2 minutes of RA per year.
Yeah. Yeah. Rear arm.
Smoked it to the filter, Dougie.
Also, Denver, Miami, and the Lakers are all undefeated at home in the playoffs. Boston's 4-4.
Ooh.
Bad sports
So-
town.
I think
Hank,
the
they're gonna have to do
Celtics
something
and
that you
Bruins are like 2-7.
So Hank, are you gonna do like something when you get there? Are you gonna do maybe when Kyrie had the what was it? What did he
Sage? That didn't
yeah,
work
the
out.
Sage.
I might drop another sausage, get the vibes going.
You know what you should do, Hank? You should go dressed as the nun with the mask from the town. Sit courtside, get Missoula pumped up.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Do you ever think? Nah, actually, I'm not gonna do it. Kyrie would be perfect for this team.
No, Jason Tatum has made the Eastern Conference Finals, I think, 3 out of his first 5 years or something, and the only 2 years he didn't was when Kyrie was on the team.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like a super skilled ball handler who can create offense and not make it so that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum don't have to handle the ball.
Marcus Smart had 10 assists in the first half.
I know, but he also I mean, there's times when Marcus Smart.
Kyrie Irving is a team killer.
I agree with that.
The Celtics have been better
Okay,
statistically
all right,
every
let me
year
say it
he's
this
not
way.
on the team.
Let me say it this way: Kyrie Irving's skill set, not Kyrie Irving.
I
A
guess.
Kyrie Irving skill set would be perfect for this team.
Well, yeah,
in
one of
crunch time.
the best ball handlers
Well,
in the NBA.
I'm saying taking away like Marcus Smart and having
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving, but skill set.
Also, the coach
I think
does
it's I mean, it's-
jiu-jitsu, which is his least favorite type of jitsu.
I like
That's
Missoula. I just think, again, it kind of is similar to last series. Keeping the guys locked in, calling timeouts when the other team goes on a run. It's little things like that. I don't think it's the team. The team build is good. This team is built to win a championship.
Okay. We should talk real quick before we do some Kirk Goldsberry.
Also,
and-
people that had to watch on YouTube TV apparently
Oh,
just
yeah.
didn't
Oh
watch
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, victory for the Boomers.
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
big time.
Yep.
So I'm not a cord cutter.
I guess it was like with 10 minutes left, there was a Little Mermaid commercial, and then they just never went back to the game.
Holy shit. That would drive me insane. This is why, I will pay all the money in the world for my cable bill to not have to deal with this. But my immediate thought was they better fucking figure this out before NFL Sunday.
Yeah, so I was thinking that too, and I would expect the NFL would just stop the game.
They would
If
have to.
TV went down. They would
have
just
to.
be like, okay, we're taking an extended commercial break. The NBA, I guess they probably don't have that many people compared to the cable audience watching on YouTube TV. I'd imagine the younger audience does. But, yeah, that was tough for everybody out there that thinks that they're better than cable.
There's not a lot of things in life that I'm like super passionate about that I would like, put a lot of my effort and mobilize my energy behind. But if the NFL Sunday gets fucked up with YouTube TV, like I'll march on Washington.
We riot.
I'll Jan 6 that shit.
We riot.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'll be fucking sitting in the Capitol with a bear mask on, being like, "Give me my games back on TV."
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious. Like that is probably the one thing where I'd be like, "Yeah, well, you want to grab some fucking guns and zip ties and roll on Washington? Let's do it."
Yeah, I actually think that Roger Goodell, he could do it whatever he wants to the league. He can schedule games more unfairly based off rest. He can have Tuesday night games, Wednesday night games. But if you can't watch the games when they're live, then there's going to be problems. Then we riot.
We take to the streets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guy Fawkes.
Yes. Okay. One last thing before we get to Kirk Goldsberry, and we'll talk to him about this as well. The Victor Wembanyama hype has gotten so hilariously out of control. There was a couple of things that happened in the last couple of days. Woj said he was maybe the greatest prospect in the history of team sports. People are saying he is a bigger deal than LeBron James, which is just factually incorrect because Victor Wembanyama is coming in a time when all the highlights are easily accessible. And I still think more people knew about LeBron James coming out of high school. His games were on ESPN.
Yeah.
So,
and he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a junior
Yes.
with the headline, The Chosen One.
Right.
And that for all the shit that we give LeBron James, you have to give him massive amounts of credit for not fucking all that up.
well, no, remember, we get the credit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we called it correctly. We called that correctly.
We called it.
But still, with LeBron, like he delivered on everything that we told him he would do. So he held up his end of the bargain for what we put out there
Right.
for him. But then you have to ask, would he have been that great if it wasn't for all of us gassing him up in the media
not.
and telling him how good he was?
Probably not. But either way, LeBron was a bigger deal culturally than Victor Wembanyama.
Yes.
I know that people just have somehow forgot what it was like 20 years ago. But again, this internet being what it is today, and everyone knew who LeBron James was.
You know what the funniest part in retrospective the LeBron James hype was? When they would play his game on ESPN and he would have to wear these big arm patches to cover up his tattoos.
Yeah.
Because in televised high school basketball, you weren't allowed to show arm tattoos
Yes.
for some reason.
Yes.
It was a weird world back then.
He also, the craziest thing with LeBron, before his first game was ever played, he did a commercial where they got the actual players in the first game to be in the commercial.
Yeah.
Like Mike Bibby in a Kings uniform guarding LeBron James.
I think we talked about that.
It's crazy.
And we were watching it and we were like, holy shit, how do they NBA scripted? Look
Yeah.
at this. They're playing the game before the game.
Yeah, they're playing the game before the game. And then Broussard, Brew Crew shout out, said he has expectations for Wembanyama to be one of the best players ever. If Wembanyama is KD, Hakeem Olajuwon, or Anthony Davis, he has not met expectations. He has to have a career like Kareem, Jordan, LeBron, Shaq, or Duncan.
That's pretty lofty expectations.
So, top 5 all time.
Yeah, I did see, if you're a Wembanyama hater or a Spurs hater, you can go watch the video of Kenny Lofton Jr. posting him up.
Yeah, I retweeted it.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great video.
Oh, yeah.
And it's probably very selectively edited. I'm sure that Wembanyama just ate his lunch for the rest of the game.
He did block him on one of the shots.
But Kenny Lofton Jr. just putting his big ass right into Wembanyama's waist and knocking him off the ball.
Too skinny.
That was also probably, I'd say, 45, 50 pounds ago for Wembanyama.
Yeah.
He's probably put on a little bit of weight since then. But, I mean, people forget Kevin Durant couldn't bench 135 one time when he was going to the draft.
Either way, he's I think it's probably gotten a little too out of hand for this for him to be, if he's a failure, if he is not better than KD, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Anthony Davis
Combined.
That's insane. Insane. He's got to cure cancer.
Yeah, or just be better than all those guys.
He's got to win at least 3 Super Bowls.
If he's not
somehow.
if he's not the best NBA player of all time, bust.
Huge bust. Would be, now we are a Wembanyama podcast, but what if he actually was like a real bust?
I mean, that we might just, you know what we should do? We should just become Scoot Henderson guys.
Yeah.
It's like Greg Oden, KD.
It's also very
Second guys, actually. But actually, shout out to Scoot Henderson. all the confidence in the world. He said that he still thinks that he should be the number 1 pick.
Ooh,
I like that.
I expect Wembanyama to be so good that it changes how we play basketball. And now no one under 7 feet is allowed to play.
Or just raise the rims.
Yeah. Like, what is it? I know he's so crazy, but still. Akeem, Anthony Davis, and KD.
And Tim Duncan.
That's he has to have a career like Tim Duncan.
Okay.
So he has to win 5 titles and a few MVPs.
Yeah.
He has to have a career like Kareem, Jordan, LeBron, Shaq, or Duncan.
I could see it.
Yeah. So yeah, good job, Victor. No pressure.
You know what? I might root against Victor until he decides to play for the U.S. on the Olympic team.
I like that.
I can't wait to root against him in the Olympics if he's on France.
I want everyone to dunk on him.
We should get Vince Carter back on the U.S. Olympic team, dunk over another French guy.
Yeah, him and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Just dunk on both of them. Okay. Should we talk? We'll talk more playoff basketball with Kirk Goldsberry in person. Then we have Randy Moss talking some Preakness. Before we do that, PFT, you got a quick ad?
Yes, before we get to Kirk, I want to talk to you about our great, great friends over at Hims and Hers. If you're experiencing hair loss or having issues getting hard in the bedroom, know that you're not alone. Hims has you covered. With Hims, you can access personalized treatments that suit your needs. And with their personalized hard mints medication for ED, they offer access to more treatments than ever, so you can freshen up date night and keep her cool in the bedroom. These minty chewables are customized to fit your unique needs. They can be compounded with the same active ingredients found in Viagra and Cialis at different dosages. And they're only available through Hims. At 4hims.com/PMT, you can access licensed medical providers and trusted treatments for ED 100% online. If prescribed, Hims will ship to you for free in discreet packaging. It's that simple. So guys, if you're having a hard time getting hard, look no further than a doctor-trusted solution at 4hims.com/PMT. There's no copay, no awkward in-person appointments, no video visits, no insurance required. Just go to 4hims.com/PMT. Discover a refreshing way to get hard. Freshen up your ED medication. Go to 4hims.com/PMT to get started today. That's 4hims.com/PMT. Only available if prescribed. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information. Restrictions apply. Hard mints is a chewable compounded drug. The FDA does not approve compounded drugs, nor does it verify their safety or effectiveness. And now, here's Kirk Goldsberry.
Okay, we now welcome on our good friend in studio, Kirk Goldsberry. Midway through the playoffs, thought it'd be a great time. You're in New York. Thought it would be great to catch up with you. Maybe clean up some of the takes you had before the playoffs. Did you have the Bucks winning it all?
I had. You guys gave me several chances to predict the finals.
That's right. That's right.
Some of them are still in play.
Okay, but you also said Jokic is just terrible at defense, and the Nuggets will not win anything because they suck at defense.
I did say that he struggles on the defensive end, but he's the best offensive player in the league.
Did you write an article that was like the problem with Jokic?
Yeah.
I pointed out that some of his defensive stats were problematic, and I stand by that.
What it was like a highlight reel of 5 bad plays by Jokic.
Yeah.
And you were like, this guy stinks.
Aren't you happy you came in?
Yeah, I am. I am very happy to be here. The playoffs are in full swing, and Nikola Jokic and Jimmy Butler both look like the best players in these playoffs.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's start with Heat Celtics. And we talked a little bit about it, but if you looking at it from the numbers and watching the games, what exactly is wrong with the Celtics? And I say wrong knowing that they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. This series is only one game, but it does feel like there are times where they just kind of take their eye off the ball and they play with their meat, like Doc Rivers says. What do you see?
I kind of agree with that. I'll set it up with this. They come into the playoffs as the number 2 ranked offense and the number 2 ranked defense in the NBA during the regular season. The teams that have done that in the last 25 years have all won the championship. There's 2 of them, both Warriors teams. So you start there. This team on paper is stacked, a two-way juggernaut, but they do sort of F around, and we saw it in game 1 against Miami. They dominate the first half, and they come out of halftime, and they fall asleep. Miami scores 46 points. And then the fourth quarter, sort of on the offensive end, that Tatum sort of falls asleep, doesn't shoot the ball once in the fourth quarter. So to me, that's sort of a fair thing to say. They are a very complete team that sort of takes naps.
Right.
And they took naps a few dangerous times in that Philly series, and James Harden took advantage of it. And then it's hard to reconcile How are they the team that did that in Game 7 on Sunday and then shows up for Game 1 against Miami and sort of lays the egg, especially in that third quarter?
Yeah. So coming out of halftime, we were talking about Mazzulla earlier. He watches how many? What, four times a week? 4 times a week he watches The Town, the movie The Town. So that's about as deep as our analysis of his coaching goes.
Well,
But
he gets choked out too.
he gets choked out. Yeah. But from your perspective, what is different about the Celtics offense, or what was different in that third quarter that you can point out and be like, this is the adjustment that Mazzulla should have made that he didn't make?
Yeah, I think in that third quarter, one thing that's been pointed out is he didn't take any timeouts.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck in The Town needed a couple of timeouts, when it got
true.
really hairy. But he didn't take any timeouts.
Did like Jeremy Renner disappear behind a light pole, take a sip of Sprite, and then go out there and get shot to death?
Take the 20-second tee there. I think they started with a 9-point lead at the end of at halftime break and ended on a 12-point deficit in that quarter. For me, that was more of a defensive lapse. I call timeout. I changed the lineup around. They were getting beat in transition. They needed a talking to, and he just didn't stop it. I don't think their offense was as much of a problem there as it was in the fourth quarter, when the dude who just broke the record for points in a Game 7 on Sunday doesn't shoot the ball in Game 1 on Wednesday. Again, what are we doing? Call a timeout. Set up a play for this guy.
Right.
Like, I think that's a fair criticism, PFT, is knowing when to call timeouts. And we've seen it now multiple times in this postseason. In that Sixer series, he didn't call a timeout in that key late game moment. I think it was Game 4 or Game 5. I forget. But if I had to pick one thing, it's like, learn how to use those TOs.
Yeah.
He hates timeouts.
Yeah, it is. And Jason Tatum, to me, I can't describe it. I think he is obviously one of the top 5, 10, whatever you want to call him. The Sunday game, 51 points, was out of this world.
Right.
And I see that, and I'm like, that guy should take over games because he has the ability to do it whenever. And then you see Wednesday night, and he's got 2 travels, which you rarely ever see.
Yeah. He's
missing shots in the fourth quarter. I don't know, like, is that just the next evolution of Jason Tatum, the consistency game to game?
Yeah, totally. Right. And I'll put it one back. Like, one of the bigger games of the season was Game 6 in Philly. Sorry, Max. But he was 1 for 14. Like, he was en route to a major loss, and it would have been on him. And to his credit, guys, 1 for 14, then he makes the 3 biggest shots of that game and saves the season. So he has that. But then one other big thing that's different in this series is a guy named Jimmy Butler, who is his primary defender. And I don't know about you guys, but I could not score on Jimmy Butler. That guy is playing defense at as great a level as he's playing offense. He's the leading scorer remaining in these playoffs, and his defense might be better. He had 6 steals in Game 1. He held Tatum to, I think, 2 field goals when he was his primary defender.
That's crazy.
Nobody can score on Jimmy Butler right now, and that's part of the deal with this series. Is Jason Tatum going to be able to do that against Jimmy?
So how do you stop Jimmy?
Dude, I mean, I don't know. Like,
Do you just let him score 50?
I watched Mike
hope that-
Budenholzer try to figure it out. I watched Tom Thibodeau try to figure it. Both of those guys have won a Coach of the Year or championships. Now we have this rookie head coach trying to figure it out. Jimmy is a vibe. Jimmy is the best competitor of any player who walks onto any court. But you have to beat him in several different ways. Like, he can start fast break transitions, PFT, with these steals. He had 6 steals again. Like, that's remarkable. And then his shooting, he hit that 3 last night that sort of went in and out and then came back in. And he just seems to be built for this in a way that is unstoppable, to be honest. And I don't know how I would stop him. Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, they have a lot of defensive weapons they can throw at him.
Yeah. Would you call him Hemi?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he the most him?
Definitely call him.
Could you imagine if the Bulls had a player like that?
Oh my God. Or the Sixers?
Yeah.
God
Geez.
damn it. Speaking of the Sixers, which we got to talk about a little bit right now, Max is shaking his head. Is Joel Embiid a loser?
Wait, did Max change his facial hair since last song?
Is Joel Embiid a loser?
He's the winner of the MVP, but his scoring average, one stat I saw was his scoring average dropped significantly in the playoffs. There were games where he just did not seem engaged. You know, we make fun of like Shaq sometimes for his analysis on Turner, but one thing he's very fair with the big men. He's like, you have to demand the ball and own these moments.
Right.
And at his worst, I think Joel in the playoffs sort of disappeared in a way that I don't think prime Shaq would have ever disappeared. And I think one of the things we want to see, if you're an MVP, be the MVP in May as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't see it in that Game 7. In some of the bigger moments in that series, he didn't sort of have that MVP series that I had hoped he'd have.
And obviously he's not a loser, but he kind of is. Like, there's a kernel of truth. He's never been past the second round.
He's getting that Chris Paul sort of legacy. I mean, how much further do you go in your career where you can't, T-Mac had this for a while. Chris Paul, like, is Joel Embiid the next one of those guys? I mean, maybe.
So how do you fix the Sixers?
Ooh, good question. Loaded question.
Well, they're changing the coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could still build a champion around Embiid. He is an incredible two-way player. I think they need to play with a little more shooting around him. You can probably win with James, but
can you?
Is he good in the playoffs?
Well, at the start.
Are we I'm talking regular season or playoffs?
Playoffs.
Oh,
some
okay,
people in this room thought when he scored like 45 points, like, oh, he's changed. And we said, just wait till game 6 and 7. And the real James Harden will reveal
Well, he did it twice.
himself.
He did that twice.
Yeah, right.
What games were those?
I mean, he did it twice.
Right.
Yeah, he did twice.
Well, you were saying that after game 1, and then he did it again.
Yeah,
Right.
But then at the end. My theory.
tired.
My
What
theory
was the
on
second
James-
one game 5, 6, or 7?
No, it was game 4.
It's okay.
Oh, game 4.
Yeah,
Game 4.
I actually think that James Harden doesn't want to win the playoffs. I think
Let's go
like
party.
at this point we have enough analysis, and you can look at what he does at the end in important games, where you could make the case like, why would you, if you were James Harden and you're getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars, there's a case to be made for just not wanting to go to work for next month.
I have personal experience with. So when I was in the Spurs front office, we played James, and Kawhi was hurt, and I think Tony was hurt, and we went to Houston for a game 6.
Yeah.
And I remember driving. We stopped at Buc-ee's, me and Monty Williams on I-10. Getting some soft drinks there, and we just felt like we were going to a slaughter because we knew they were whole and we were beat up. And if you remember that game, that's the game where this dude just didn't show up.
Yeah.
And we had Jonathan Simmons out there. He looked like the best player in the game, and that was one of the early data points in James's playoff resume that said, like, maybe this guy ain't it, but he just was invisible in a game they should have walked all over us. And it's kind of fair. We have a lot of these games where we're just like 2 for 9 in the biggest game of the year.
It's weird, isn't it?
And I think what happens, part of the explanation for James Harden in the playoffs is it gets ref different. You get to see, over and over and over. Obviously, they changed the crews, but he doesn't get the same calls that he gets in the regular season where he lives on the foul line, or the free throw line. And then you see the trepidation he has where he doesn't want to go and attack the rim. So like all kind of snowballs from there. Like peak James Harden is when he's attacking the rim, getting the free throw line over and over and over again. And you saw in game 7, he just wasn't going to do it.
And one more thing about that is the regular season is checkers. Like teams, Greg Popovich doesn't concoct a really hyper-specific game plan for a regular season game in February. In a game 4, a game 5, and a game 6, you're seeing coaching staffs. It's rocket science now. It is chess now. And so they're getting hyper specific with pick and roll coverages and matchups in a way that James, it's harder to play basketball against those defenses. When all the coaches are laser focused in on you and your act, it's harder to perform well in those moments.
Okay, so that brought up something I'm happy you're here because I wanted to ask you this. In that series, you saw Joe Mazzulla not go to that big lineup, Rob Williams and Al Horford both starting till game 6 or 7. When you were in the playoffs with the Spurs, would PFT's watch is talking to him.
Shut up, bitch.
Would Pop ever deliberately hold back something? Like, do coaches going into a series hold back a adjustment they know is going to work? And being like, we will wait until they make us get to this point. So, like, they know almost in game 1, they're not putting out their primo. You could even see it sometimes. Steve Kerr would do it when they go to the death lineup and they'd start it. Like, do they consciously say, we're not actually putting our best team on the floor to start this game 1, or playing our best rotations because we want to keep something in the chamber to surprise them later on in the series?
Hell yeah, they do.
That's crazy, though.
But I'll give you a great example that involved the Milwaukee Bucks collapse 3 or 4 years ago. And Nick Nurse was the coach of the Raptors, and he didn't put Kawhi Leonard on Giannis Antetokounmpo until they lost the first 2 games of the series. And that's a really famous example of like, oh, that was staring us in the face. But sometimes it's a matchup, sometimes it's a lineup, sometimes it's an ATO play that they have, like, and sort of break glass in case of emergency. We have this look, we have this lineup, we have this play that we know that we're going to save for those emergencies.
I love that aspect of a 7-game series.
The
That
Philly
knowing,
special's another one. Shout out Max.
yeah, but knowing,
when
knowing
to use that.
Yeah, knowing that you, well, yeah, that's true. That's football though. But yeah, the knowing like, hey, we're gonna like almost anticipate they're gonna make this adjustment, so we're gonna save a counter adjustment for later.
I would have liked to have seen that double big lineup, and I know a lot of Celtics fans wanted to see it earlier in that Sixers series than
Right.
So late. I mean, that lineup is really what took Hank's Celtics from mediocre at the beginning of last year when they're sort of struggling to find their identity to the juggernaut they became that won the Eastern Conference. And the fact that we'd barely seen it at all in the playoffs when the Celtics were struggling against the Hawks and struggling in the early part of that Sixers series. It's like, yeah, that's another sort of fair question for Joe Mazzulla. It's like, what took you so long, man?
Right.
Like Robert Williams and Al Horford at the same time, pretty good.
Yeah, see, I didn't know if that was what took you so long, or he was like, I'm saving this for when we actually our backs are against the wall, which seems like a dangerous game to play.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game. I don't think he would have saved it that long.
Right.
Like, I don't think he would have lost. What was that series?
It was 3-2. Yeah.
Yeah, 3-2.
Yeah, Doc
right.
Rivers up 3-2.
So you mentioned ATO stuff. You mentioned like set plays from out of bounds, set pieces, as we call them in football. Which coach draws up the best set plays amongst the remaining four?
Amongst the remaining four? Well, let's see.
There's a clear number one.
Part of it is who do you have out there, and it's really good if you're Mike Malone to have Nikola Jokic in an ATO play because the ball is going to go through him, and there's going to be a cut that sort of goes the opposite way that the defense is expecting, and he's the one. By the way, he created so many points with assists. I think he created 32 points with assists alone in game one. So Mike Malone has that luxury.
Michael Malone.
He'll
He'll get mad at you if you say Mike.
Yeah.
Well, he called my piece on Jokic a hatchet job.
Yeah,
which
that's
was an
right.
honor. It was the
That's
first
right.
time I had a hatchet job in my
Yes.
career. So that's a rite of passage in sports writing, I guess.
Yes.
But, my hatchet job, Michael Malone. And then I think, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. I think, with all due respect to Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich right now, what he's doing. But I don't know if like the ATO is his strong suit.
You failed. The answer is Brad Stevens.
Is he still coaching?
Well,
he probably passes.
well,
some, right?
Shadow government?
he's definitely not, because he would have given some plays to Missoula.
Yeah. Maybe he's saving them.
Because you would probably say that Missoula is the last one amongst the four remaining in terms of designing set plays, right?
He has the most limited resume, but it is true. Brad Stevens is in the building, and he has a great encyclopedia of ATOs they could use.
Yeah. What about hustle stats? Do you have any hustle grit stats? Any metrics that would look at the Heat? Because when you look at Heat and Celtics, it's like the Celtics have a lot of players that would fall into that category of gritty players, but for whatever reason, it seems you don't think so.
I wrote an article on ESPN last week about the Miami Heat, and it was all centered around this category of stats called hustle stats, because I was like, what is Heat culture? Does it show up in the numbers? And when you look at the four remaining teams, PFT, you're like, the Celtics are the two-way juggernaut. The Lakers are sort of this defensive team that has two superstars, and the Nuggets are the offensive juggernaut. What is the Heat? The Heat is this Heat culture thing, and what stats can you point at? Loose balls recovered, charges drawn, deflected passes, screen assists. They're far and away leading the NBA playoffs in all of these like pain in the ass stats, the hustle stats. I say they do the dirty work. And I was finally able to track down a bunch of these numbers. Like, the most important play of their playoff run is probably Kevin Love taking the charge on Giannis when he got hurt. But that's not unusual. They take more charges than everybody. They dive on loose balls. And Jimmy leads the playoffs in deflected passes and loose balls recovered. He's setting the tone there. But yeah, that Heat culture, that identity, they hustle more than anybody else in the playoffs, and it's not close.
So they try harder.
Honestly, yes. And I think my favorite description, it sounds ridiculous to say that about pro athletes, but like one of my favorite quotes from Spoelstra this postseason is like, balls in the air, balls on the ground. That's what we take pride in. And then he likened his own team to Navy SEALs. So I'm not going to say they're trying harder. I'm not going to make the war comp. But there's a lot of that around. PFT's like, wait,
No,
you're waiting
sat
so
up
hard.
No, I just sat up. I was like, now I might be all in on the Heat now.
Yeah, you're talking my language.
But the metric is they do hustle more. And yeah, you can say they try harder. I'm fine with that. They try harder.
Julius Randle even said it. He was like, I think they might just want it
Great
more.
point.
Yeah,
They do.
That's the debate. Do they try harder or do they want it more? I think those are two separate things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they want it.
They want it more.
Well, if we can sort of zoom into a loose ball, if there's a loose ball on the floor in the Celtics series and you're saying, okay, gun to your head, who's getting that ball? I'm taking Miami Heat every time. Like these guys do dive on the floor faster and more regularly than almost any team I've seen in a long time.
Did you see our friend Greeny, the stat that he was pointing to of why the Heat were dominating the Knicks when the games were in Miami? He said it's so hot in Miami. And the Heat have a hard time, or the Knicks have a hard time traveling down there.
Is that South Beach is undefeated, or is that something else?
I think it's hot. I think Greeny was just saying it's hot outside, so therefore cold weather teams play worse when they're in our city. Yeah. I didn't know if there was any statistical background to that analysis.
Well, I was at a finals game in 2014 when the air conditioning.
Yeah.
You were the person who turned it off.
Yeah. You were upstairs at the time?
Hey. And before we fixed the 2023 lottery, we had fixed the air conditioning. But the funniest thing about that story is like the 2014 Spurs are all old dudes, like Manu and Tony and Tim are like in their late 30s. And like if there's one team that's gonna break down because the air conditioning goes off, it's not the Miami Heat who are all 27 and like their athletic primes. It's like the old guys.
Counterpoint, if you ever been like, to an old person's house, they always have the heat on. They don't want that draft. They feel that draft. They feel, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
There's a little draft coming in.
Yeah, Pop might have been like, we can't afford to air condition the entire neighborhood.
Yeah, right.
Let's keep the bill down. You remember that time when Manu Ginobili punched a bat out of the air?
Oh, that's one of the most badass moments in like viral NBA history. Yeah, of course.
Were you
he had to get rabies shots.
Yeah, that was insane. There was a bat that was flying around on the court, and Manu just hit it out of the air, and they're like, Manu, you're not supposed to do that, man.
Yeah, I want to say it's like really cool, but the team was kind of annoyed because like I think he had to miss a game or two because he had to get rabies treatment.
That would have been a very fun. I want to go back and look at that injury report. Manu Ginobili DNP rabies.
So speaking of like the elements, which is crazy to say in a basketball game.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about the Mile High with Denver.
Yeah.
When you guys would go there, what was the difference in game prep or like conversations beforehand for the players?
I mean, all the guys have played there so many times. It's just like you're going to get tired before you think you are, and you're going to have like a little extra element of like toughness to get through a 48-minute playoff game. Now, that's the thing that's different is the Lakers are a really good defense, but the Nuggets are the best offense in the NBA. And so now you're trying to stop the best offense in the NBA at elevation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so this series to me is a little bit about elevation, but for me it's mostly about will this really powerful Lakers defense that's been tops or tops in the West since the trade deadline find some answers. I think Denver scored 132 points, which is like an old school Nuggets 80 score.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers have lost all 4 games when they've given up 115 points. They haven't played an offense like this. This series is going to be only won by the Lakers if they can bring that 130 down to 120, 110. But if they're giving up 130 points, whether it's at elevation or down at sea level at the Crypto.com arena, on their home floor, they're in trouble. They need to get some stops, Big Cat.
So speaking of your experience as well, and this might be just a dumb take because we do have dumb takes on here, but how much can you attribute the change in series to series where the Lakers spend the series against the Warriors chasing Steph around, chasing Clay around, like all their movement and everything, and then they go up against the Nuggets who have a big who can do everything, and it's a completely different situation that they're trying to guard. Do you think this is stupid? They're pros, they know exactly, or is there something to be said for like we just spent a whole series doing this, now we got to do the exact opposite? It's a little bit difficult to switch how we guard.
Yeah, I think LeBron described it to his own teammates before the Nuggets series. It's like a video game, like it levels up with each round of the playoffs, and I think that's certainly been true. They played sort of a broken Grizzlies team and a really depleted Warriors team. And now they're playing the number 1 seed, right? And the best offense, and they're healthy and they're deep. I don't think, as great as LeBron James' career has been, he's ever had to play a player like Jokic in the playoffs. I was thinking about this on the walk over here. I was like, I don't think there's been. Well, Jokic is such a unique force.
Yeah, right.
But as a scorer, he's hyper efficient and can put up 30. He's averaging a 30-point triple-double in these playoffs, which is insane. And his assists are leading to 25 or 30 points more for the Nuggets. So like it's really a hard player to beat because of his size. And then if you double team him, he will destroy you, and his teammates are going to create buckets on their end on those passes.
The answer might be Dirk.
Dirk Nowitzki,
in terms of like the size, being able to shoot everywhere.
Yes, hyper skilled big, right?
Yeah. And then he lost that series. Yeah, right, exactly. Scored 8 points in game 3 or 4.
Yeah, and I mean the thing with Jokic is, like, with all due respect to Dirk, one of my favorite players, like 20-some rebounds,
right,
15 assists. It's like a 2K character who's like putting up these ridiculous stats. A 30-point triple-double. Nobody's averaged that this deep into the playoffs in the history of the sport.
Yeah. It is crazy. On the altitude front, has there been an NBA team that's had the oxygen containers on the bench like you see in Mile High Stadium?
I feel like I've seen that, but on the spot I can't think of that. But maybe they should.
They should think about doing that. Yeah, getting some oxygen masks going. On as far as LeBron James is concerned, I feel like we've started to appreciate LeBron more on this show. He's hilarious. His lies are very funny. Mm-hmm. He is a very good player. He's lived up to our expectations that we correctly set for him at the start of his career. But in terms of his game evolving, his game has changed over the years, right?
Oh, for
so
sure.
If you were to look at it from your like heat map breakdown or any other way that you can explain it to us, what has LeBron gotten better at later on in his career, and what has he gotten worse at?
He's picking his spots better. But he was the first NBA player I ever interviewed in 2013. It was just terrifying. But I asked him then about the evolution of his game. I didn't know at the time, like Tom Brady, he was at the end of the first half of his career.
Right.
Like one Hall of Fame career is over, the second one just starting. And at that time, he had learned how to make plays a lot better for his teammates. And he had learned a little bit of a post game. And he had, at that particular season, he'd stopped shooting so many threes. The formula, generally speaking, PFT, as a scorer remains the same. He's the leading scorer of all time because he's the best paint scorer of our lifetime in terms of magnitude. He's led the league in points in the paint multiple times, and his jump shot is mediocre, and that's still the same. His mid-range shooting, in his era, he sort of followed suit with the general trend. Like mid-range, takes a lot more threes. So almost all of his jumpers now, not almost all of them, but a bigger share of them are 3-point jump shots. A smaller share are mid-range shots.
It does feel like, though, and obviously it's LeBron James, so you can't say like, oh, this is what you want out of him, because every time he has the ball, you got to be worried. But it does feel like teams are okay with him shooting threes.
Yeah, they should be. I think in the playoffs, you can look it up, but I think it's like 31% or lower. Somebody
25%.
25%. He's having a tough time. The thing I would say about both him and Anthony Davis on offense, they're a lot scarier in the paint than anywhere else. And I would say the same thing about Anthony Davis on defense. He's not that scary on the perimeter. He's terrifying if they keep him in there in the paint. But yeah, if you're game planning, if you're the Nuggets right now and either Anthony Davis or LeBron James are rising up for a jump shot, that feels good.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I'd say about Giannis. And I would normally say about like Jimmy Butler, whose jump shooting numbers in the regular season are pretty bad. But I wouldn't say that about him right now. But yeah, LeBron shooting a three doesn't scare anyone right now.
So we're taping this on Thursday afternoon. It's before Game 2 of the Nuggets-Lakers. Who do you have winning?
I think Denver is so good at home. They've been the best team in the West all year, so I have Denver winning.
So that means Game 2 is a must-win for Denver.
It's a must-win. Yeah,
okay.
It's definitely a must-win.
Because if they're so good at home, you got to win your home games.
The Lakers. Put it this way: if the Lakers win Game 2, they accomplished the cliche split, right? Like we got what we want, and now we just got to win our home games.
The series starts at that point. Where
Max is so triggered that just the word "must win" has him shaking his head.
Must win is the most infuriating 2 words in the English language to me right now.
One of my favorite bits is like when y'all guys at Radio Row or whatever ask the Super Bowl people, like, who does that? Who does that bit? Is this a must win?
Oh, I think that's Dave Damashek.
Dave Damashek. That's a great bit. Is this? Would you say this is a must win? But yeah, Game 7. Do you guys think this is a must-win?
Yeah. Well,
Well, if it's James Harden, no. It's
Yeah, and we correctly told Max to pass. We told him Game 3 was a must-win for the Sixers, and they didn't win.
But if you split on the road, if you're the Lakers, then you go home, you hold serve at home for the rest of the series. Boom.
Yeah.
Going to the NBA
so
Finals.
Nuggets are must-win.
Yeah, it's a must-win.
It's a must. No, it's not a must-win. I mean, the Lakers. I mean, LeBron James is the guy who came back from 3-1 against a 73 win.
No,
team.
but the Nuggets, it's a must-win.
Oh, for the Nuggets, I do think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have it as a must-compete.
For the Lakers.
Must compete.
No, for the Nuggets.
I actually, looking at my notes now too, PFT, I don't have it as a must-win. I also have it as a must compete.
Okay,
I like that.
you have to show me some life. You have to fight. You're not going to get the crazy part about that first game was the Nuggets had all those lucky shots that went in, off balance, falling away. They probably had 5 shots that had no business going into the basket. They made all 5 of them, and then they barely managed to squeak away at the end. So that was. Would you consider that a moral victory for the Lakers in Game 1?
That was the other way to look at it is that was about the Lakers' best offensive shot. I think AD had 40, LeBron had 26. They were shooting well. If you look at their scores, like them scoring 126 is a pretty rare thing. I think that might even be their high in this postseason. Maybe they had one more. But like I said earlier, this Lakers offense isn't good enough to win a game where they give up 130 points very often.
Yeah. I still like to think of the NBA in the NBA Jam terms.
Yeah.
Growing up in the 90s, you played that video game, I'm assuming?
Of course, yeah.
If you were to reduce every team to an NBA Jam duo, who wins the finals? And who would those players
Jokic
be?
and Murray remind me of the Spurs because they're like 2 foreign guys that nobody cares about. They think are boring in the national media. But they're really badasses, obviously, and that's underappreciated. But Anthony Davis and LeBron James would be hard to because they're both powerful scorers and powerful defenders. The Celtics obviously have to. And can I get 2 Jimmies for Miami?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 Jimmies.
I forgot that
Then I'm taking
Murray
2
was
Jimmies.
Canadian.
That's too many hems, though. It can't be. It's them.
Yeah.
They would be them.
No, Jimmy and Kevin Love, and you put Kevin Love in the corner for NBA Jam for the
Who would be
threes.
the Heat's second guy?
Bam?
Yeah, but then
Yeah, it
you
would
have
be Bam.
shooting. Maybe it's Jimmy.
That shooting green bar would be all the way.
Yeah, Jimmy, Bam, then Kevin Love. You have the 3.
Or maybe Max Strus for 1 quarter.
I forgot Jamal Murray was Canadian.
Gabe Benson.
I did too.
When he said two foreign guys.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Well,
Jamal Murray's Canadian.
Well, there is a movement that PFT's been following, I'm sure, about making Canada the 51st state. Not quite there yet.
I have seen that. So, like, Alberta wants to secede from Canada and join the United States. First of all, I'm going to need to see at least like a PowerPoint from the government of Alberta. Tell me what you bring to the table.
Your application has been denied.
I would be into it just because we would get Connor McDavid. And then maybe the Oilers would win a Stanley Cup, and we'd be like, America still has a Stanley Cup.
Could. Yeah, and you could also tell Canada, like, do you guys ever, in the history of your country, ever want to win a Stanley Cup again? Join us.
Join us, yeah. Join or die. I would also, I would say we'd have to kick one state out. I like 50 stars on the flag. It's easy to remember. One state's got to go.
Plus the shape of the map. Like, if Alberta's is like, now we have some kind of tumor growing out of Montana up there.
I think you just make it the Dakota.
One Dakota?
One
or
Dakota.
would be cool.
One Dakota's fine. That's all you need.
Just give Delaware to France or
Conference.
something.
Yeah.
Like I told you, conference realignment's getting out of control.
Yeah, exactly. Non-playoff. What are the Warriors going to do?
Oh, I thought we were going Wemby. The Warriors
I do want to talk
are
Wemby.
going to, have some big questions about Draymond Green coming back. He's going to either come back for 1 year or he's going to be a free agent. The good news is they have Stephen Curry, who is a culture setter. They have Klay Thompson. Almost any other team, I should say. About 25 teams would say, okay, I'll trade places with them. You have Steph Curry, you have Steve Kerr, you have Klay Thompson, you might have Draymond Green. I'll take it. That's starting on second, if not third base for your next season. I think they tried and failed Big Cat to sort of develop their new core on the fly. Wiseman's no longer there. Kuminga hasn't hit. Moses Moody is not quite there. Jordan Poole has not quite meshed with the older players.
I'd say
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You
hasn't
say he
quite
stinks.
Meshed with the older
Draymond
players.
did say that if he didn't punch him, they would have won that series.
I did
That's
hear that.
accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he said maybe it would have gone different.
Or if you punched him
Yeah.
harder, maybe.
He said they'd
Yeah.
still be playing.
Yeah, they'd still be playing.
if he had killed him with a punch, they might have won that series.
That's
They
true.
got somebody else to say Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
But-
so yeah, I mean, I do think they should keep Draymond.
How can you not? I mean, Draymond is that team, like I was talking about earlier with the Celtics, the Warriors dynasty is obviously about shooting and revolutionary shooting, but people sleep on the defense. They've been a top 5 defense almost every time they've won, and Draymond has changed the way that teams play defense in this league. Switch everything, small player, skills at the center position, setting up his teammates, and Steve Kerr deserves a lot of credit for building this motion offense that plays through Draymond Green. So yeah, they should keep Draymond in my opinion because he's such a core piece of their identity.
I went as far as to say he's second most important player on their team.
Who's the first?
Steph.
I agree.
Yeah. I think Steph, you kind of have to give it to Steph.
Yeah,
I do think like if they said like Draymond or Clay, like Clay is phenomenal career, but you saw that it's maybe not the same. Maybe he gets it back. He's gone through some crazy injuries, but like LeBron was running away from Clay in that series to let him take open shots to go guard Steph.
Draymond right now, I think still has that defensive edge, but you know, when I look at the failure of this Warriors season, it's based on depth and defense, and Draymond takes accountability for that defense, and they have been top 5 when they've won the championship, including last year, and this year they were middle of the pack. They were not good on the road, obviously, and then the depth, the front office was unable to sort of surround that core of dudes with the sort of Otto Porter type players they had last year. Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston earlier in the dynasty. JaVale, like, you know, championship teams, you can't have like weak links almost anywhere. The playoffs are too hard. And this year's Warriors team just didn't have like that Iguodala, Livingston, even Otto Porter type players in those roles.
You used the F word. You said failure. Was it a failure?
Did
you mean to say that, or was it?
I knew you were going to seize on that.
I mean, if you look at it from a life perspective, they got to travel a lot, hang out with their friends.
They grew as individuals.
Yeah.
What if the Spurs, when they lose, when you what year did you start with the Spurs?
15.
Okay. So let's say what year they lose in the playoffs. If you walked in the offices after and you're like, guys, I don't really think that was a failure. Like, we learned a lot about ourselves.
No, we walk in. So the first year I worked there, I was like, finally, playoffs are over. We lost, take a break. It's like, no, now it's time to do the draft.
Right.
So you walk in and it's like incredible effort on the draft. Nobody talks about it. You're just like, okay, we have 29th pick in the draft. Like, get to work. And we have 59 too. And we take that more seriously than anybody. So it's like secretly the hardest part of a front office is after the playoffs, when now you have to turn around and draft and prepare for free agency. But when we would lose to Oklahoma City or we lose to the Warriors in the playoffs, of course it hurt, especially in the years where you think you could win the championship.
Right. Yeah, when there's that window and you don't strike, it's okay to say that we failed at our goal this season.
Yeah, and
it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you wasted a year of your life.
And that's a nice sort of turn of the language. Like, yeah, we failed to meet our goal. Like, that's what I'm saying. And like, I actually agree with what Giannis said and what Damian Lillard said earlier in the season about rings culture and like Giannis saying failure. It's not a personal failure. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, you guys know that, but yeah, they failed to meet their expectations with this title defense. That is obvious.
Yeah. So you mentioned the draft. Let's talk about Wembanyama. So congrats on rigging the draft in San Antonio. Great job, Pop. Third time that they've had the first overall pick. Third time they've gotten the best player ever to play on their team. So that's big stuff. Congratulations. We want to be first on the Wembanyama is going to be a bust train. Oof. So can we say that he's too French? That's kind of the line that we're going with right now.
No.
But he's very French.
Yeah, heard of democracy, PFT?
But like Rudy Gobert, like too French.
Maybe, actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't think he's that French.
Okay. He's Tony Parker French.
He's Tony Parker French. He's Boris Dio French.
He's the wine France.
Yeah.
Not the surrender France.
No. We
you got to make that distinction.
Is he? Yeah, you think there's the Spurs sitting there being like, so how French is he?
He's fully French.
Yeah, fully. Like he's going to bring his own guillotine or what?
But there's different kinds of French. That's what I learned from you guys.
That's true.
He's Tony Parker French. He's got the heart of a champion out there. He's a young guy, and like Tony, when we drafted him a long time ago, nobody expected him to become a Finals MVP. This guy has very high expectations.
Oh, you think? A little out of control.
I mean, it is. I mean, you guys have followed the Zion hype, the LeBron hype. It doesn't always work, but this guy is built to I always say it's like if you challenge a 10-year-old to create a 2K player or draw on a piece of paper what an incredible basketball player would look like, the kid would draw a 7'5" guy who can dribble, pass, and shoot.
Yeah. So he's good. So you think it's like
how many championships?
Yeah, and how
what would be failure for his career if you look at it? Let's set the line right now. I'd say if he wins fewer than 4 titles, failure.
Chris Broussard, your man, today, I saw on social media, he said if he's not Akeem or KD, it's a failure.
Yep.
That's a little rich.
But,
I mean, these are generational players.
So obviously we know how these guys turned out, but if you like went back the last 20 years, number 1 overall picks, LeBron, Anthony Davis,
Anthony
Dwight,
Bennett.
Dwight Howard, Maple Jordan, Anthony Bennett. Like, would you say he's on par with those type of prospects just coming in terms of everything you've seen?
I mean, even in a measured way, guys, like all jokes aside, he deserves to be, in my opinion, the most hyped player since LeBron James has come into the NBA.
Okay.
And it's largely a physical thing. Basketball is not rocket science, like, even though people like me try to make it that way. If you're 7'5" and you can run and jump, like, just imagine Big Cat trying to shoot against this dude. Like, just imagine trying to
fucking put my ass into him and just box
he might not
him
even
down.
be a center. He might be this terrifying, like, help defender that can stretch out with these, like, plastic arms and block any shot. So you're talking about one of the bullshit shots the Nuggets hit the other night, and I know one of them you're talking about is the Jokic at the 3-point line, and AD extending as far as he could to block it. AD probably the best single defensive impact right now in the playoffs. Wembanyama blocks that exact shot.
But you're also telling me he's soft because he's not going to play center.
You said he was soft because he was French, and I'm
Both.
not saying
That's
that. No, he's
double
Tony
soft.
Parker French.
2-ply.
No, he's going to be. I think his immediate impact is on defense. I would say, look, the Popovich dynasty is built on 3 things. The first thing is lottery luck. The second thing is defense. And the third thing is foreign players. What I like about this for the Spurs is he sort of represents all 3 of those things to extend that dynasty into the 2020s.
He's the perfect Spur. Congratulations.
He is.
You got the perfect.
That's right.
And
That's right.
When you
said
take
it,
into account the Greg Popovich factor, he's obsessed with wine, right?
Oh, he's
I'm
French.
sure women.
I mean,
but Pop is like a big wine guy.
yeah.
Tell us about Pop. Did he ever take you guys out for like expensive bottles of wine? I've heard that he'll go in and like educate the sommelier on their own wine list in a restaurant.
No, he loves his European wine, his Italian reds and his French reds. He loves some Oregon reds, but he is very knowledgeable, but likes to learn is a lot. He's got a growth mindset. But so if he comes out to New York and goes to Per Se or something like that, chances are the Somm knows a lot about wine, and he's not sitting there teaching them. But yeah, those dinners with Pop are legendary, in part because of these international teams he's built, and you're sitting across the table from somebody from a faraway land who's got an interesting story, and that's a big part of that Spurs culture.
All right, so I had one last question. We love having you on, Kirk. Rowback question, promo code TAKE, 20% off your first purchase. Q-zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, and shorts. Shorts for the summer. RHOBACK.com, promo code TAKE for 20% off your first purchase. 4 teams left. Hard to screw this up. Finals and champion. You've now had the most predictions in Pardon My Take history.
How many predictions do I get?
You only get 1. Give us finals and champion.
I'll give you 3.
Yeah.
I'll give you 3.
Okay, so
Give us your first best.
I still think Boston and Denver.
Okay.
They're top seeds remaining. Lakers, Celtics would be, man, that's just a classic because they both, I think I talked about this last time, both hanging on the 17th title, and like the battle for 18 head to head would be pretty sweet. And then, I mean, Miami, Denver would be my third one.
Okay.
But my champion, it's either going to be the Nuggets, the Celtics, the Lakers, or the Heat. Folks.
Okay.
Folks.
So the one combination you didn't pick though was Heat Lakers.
Definitely not happening.
Definitely
Not happening.
I don't
No
think that's
chance.
ever happened. I don't think that's
I'm
ever
gonna put that
happened.
in as a bet right now.
The bubble finals? Yeah, I'm adding that to my
Yeah.
prediction list. In all seriousness, Boston, Denver. Boston, Denver, they're the most
Winner?
complete teams. And I would take Denver, dude.
Let's go.
And I did write the article about Jokic's defense. I still think that's an issue for that team. But Boston's a real jump shooting happy team. That weakness would sort of be deodorized by the style play of this Celtics squad. So I'll be wrong. I love being wrong on your show.
It is fun.
Pardon my incorrect takes.
Yeah.
But
You're like that nerd.
I will also
wrong.
remind you, Big Cat, that in our playoff preview in Austin, I was clear that this is the most effed up postseason in NBA history.
did.
It's so weird. We have an 8 seed. Oh, 2 8 seeds in the conference finals. We have the first play-in team winning a series. We have 2 play-in teams winning series. It's just, it's parity. It's a lot like March Madness when we saw you guys in Houston and we're looking at the Final Four. We're like, how did these teams make it to the Final Four?
Yeah, it's fun. It's been an awesome playoffs.
It would also be just a great if you're a fan of tuning into the show to hear us lose, listening to LeBron James beat Hank personally in the finals, that would be an all-time episode. I would love that. I don't want him to win, but that's a great consolation prize that we would have.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good stories. Like if Jimmy does this, like that will be one of, if not the most incredible runs I've ever seen in the postseason. Jokic obviously would take his reputation to another level, but yeah, if LeBron wins this,
there's a lot of legacies. It's
legacy talk.
Jimmy becomes like something totally different.
Tatum would be something different too. So yeah,
Jimmy would become an all-time great.
Yeah,
if he won a championship this year.
Yeah,
legendary.
Does he want it more? Is he going to try hard?
That's the question.
I think yes. But you
right.
wrote him off. That's fine.
Yeah, you did. Kirk, thank you as always.
Anytime.
Great to see you. Great to talk ball, and hopefully you're right. Hopefully
Thank you, guys.
Nugs
Celtics.
There we go.
All right.
Kirk Goldsberry was brought to you by our friends at Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in an accident, Morgan & Morgan makes it easier for you. File a claim online, upload pictures, evidence, text your lawyer, get a settlement direct deposited. Do almost everything from your phone. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Over 800 lawyers nationwide. Over $15 billion recovered so far. Over 100 offices. Over 30 years of experience. The fee is free. You only pay if you win. So visit forthepeople.com/PMT or dial #law to start a claim today. Visit forthepeople.com/PMT or dial #law to start a claim today. We know the Morgan & Morgan guys. They're great guys, and they're here to defend you. They are America's largest injury law firm. So go right now. Visit forthepeople.com/PMT or dial #law to start a claim and have Morgan & Morgan back you. The fee is free. You only pay if you win. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Okay, here he is, Randy Moss. Okay, we now welcome on our very special guest. It is recurring guest Randy Moss, head of the Preakness. We talked to him for the Kentucky Derby, and he's wearing the recurring guest shirt.
There you go.
Randy, I don't think you understand what this means to us, because I think when we started this podcast, we're like, this will be a really good idea. We'll send recurring guest shirts to all of our recurring guests. I think we might have only sent like 3 of them out.
I know you have one. Rachel Nichols has one.
Blake Griffin is still waiting for his in the mail.
Yeah, who else has one? It might just be 2.
Spencer Hawes might have one.
He might, yeah.
But it is as rare gets for you to have that.
Hey, I embrace the recurring guest shirt. I really do. I wear it. I've worn it before with you guys, once before at Churchill Downs. But I had to bring it.
That's awesome. And also, I didn't text you till yesterday because we've just been busy. So you packed that.
Just in case.
I
heard from you, Big Cat. I packed it. And my daughter goes to the University of Oklahoma, as did 2 of my sons. So I've got to fly the OU shirt as well.
I love it.
Best.
All right, so
there you go.
Great start to this. Not to get negative, but I think Derma Sotogato just finished the Kentucky Derby.
He actually ran a good race when you go back and look at what happened to him at the start. I'm not saying he would have won. I'm not going to make excuses. But to finish 6th with that start that he had last, being way back there, I was proud of the way the old Dermot Sotogake ran, but he didn't win, and you didn't cash.
That's loser
Bottom
talk.
line.
Respectfully, Randy, that's loser talk. He finished the race.
It is.
If he had ran the entire race like you thought he would have won, but he didn't, so he lost.
But everyone who bet on him gets a stamp on their ticket saying Randy Moss was proud of him.
Hey, Up to the Mark won the race before, though, so
that's true.
Had some money to bet on Derma Sotogake and lose it all back.
That's actually exactly how my Derby day went. So thank you for extending my enjoyment of that lovely Saturday. What was the issue with him out of the gate?
He lurched to the left, slammed into the side of the gate, and whereas they wanted to be sitting 3rd or 4th on the outside tracking the pace, they were last when they left the starting gate and wound up being way back there. So was Mage. But Mage likes to run that way, and Dermis Sotogake is used to being up close to the pace. He rallied in front of Mage. He was fifth, I think, when they turned into the stretch, but then Mage blew by him, and he sort of ran evenly the rest of the way.
Yeah, it was a crazy derby because we had the favorite be out before the race even happened. What was your take on all of that? I know that there was some sensitivity around horses because there had been some tragedies that week, but for Mike Rapoli, it felt like he got kind of screwed because he had a horse that had beaten Mage twice in the last 2 times.
And they clearly felt, Rapoli and his trainer Todd Pletcher, that Forte was capable of running and would be just fine for the Kentucky Derby. But here's the deal. There were 5 scratches in all for the Kentucky Derby. That's the most since the 1930s. There was one year in the 1930s that also had 5 scratches. But this is something that we're going to have to get used to because there is an increased emphasis, and not just because of what happened at Churchill Downs this year, on horse safety. The veterinary examinations pre-race are much more stringent than they ever have been before, which is a good thing. But you're going to see this going forward. Maybe not 5 every year, but there will definitely be more scratches right before Triple Crown races than we're accustomed to seeing.
What are those veterinary checkups like? Do they feel the horse's muscles? Do they watch it run?
Oh, yeah. Both. They not only have a lot more eyeballs on the horses every morning when they train, but they also do up close, hands-on physical examinations right before the race. 1 day, 2 days before the race, they'll feel the horse's legs. They'll watch the horse jog on asphalt, where sometimes if the horse has any problems, it'll show up more jogging on asphalt than it will jogging on a cushioned racing surface. They'll turn over every rock that they can in order to try to assure that the horses are perfectly 100% sound before a race. And Forte had a bruised foot that they were dealing with right before the race. Happened on Wednesday. They thought that he had turned the corner and the horse would be just fine to race, but the veterinarians thought otherwise.
All right, so looking at the Preakness, Mage is the betting favorite right now, but we have a Baffert horse back. So Baffert's back in the mix, national treasure. Do you think from just like, how it always works out is, there's some horses racing in the Preakness that didn't race in the Kentucky Derby. What does that mean for Mage racing just 2 weeks ago and the advantage for all the other horses?
Generally in the past, horses from the Kentucky Derby have come back and run their races 2 weeks later in the Preakness. But a lot of that is because the primary horses they were running against, the toughest competition, also ran in the Kentucky Derby. So they were all coming back in 2 weeks, right? Now you've got a phenomenon where you have horses like National Treasure and First Mission and Perform who have more time off coming into the Preakness than Mage does. And the 2 weeks, I think, is a disadvantage to Mage. Even though they say he's been training exceptionally well and seems to have bounced back. You can't really tell. The best trainers in the world, Wayne Lucas, will always tell you that the better a horse is, the more difficult it is to read how much a race took out of the horse. Because the great horses, just like the great human athletes, they do things easily. They make it look easy. And they're eager to train in the mornings, and they're enthusiastic about doing their jobs. But then as my colleague Jerry Bailey always says, you really don't know how much the Derby took out of the horse until you get to the quarter pole of the Preakness. So I do think it's a disadvantage for Mage. And I also think that the pace that was a big advantage, as it turned out for him at the Kentucky Derby, it was much faster than we had all expected, is probably not going to materialize that way on Saturday here. And that also won't necessarily play in Mage's favor.
Randy, I need you to talk me out of something because I feel like I'm being entrapped into making a bet that I will soon regret, and that's on the long shot for this race because the long shot 50-1 right now. Chase the Chaos. You can't name a long shot. I can't have the long shot in the race be called Chase the Chaos and not bet on it because it's telling me that I need to chase the Chaos because what if the Chaos wins? So talk me out of betting on this horse.
The only chaos that you're likely to experience betting on Chase the Chaos is maybe trying to explain to people afterward why you bet on Chase the Chaos. The odds are, are representative of the horse's chances of winning. Put it that way. You're not getting a bargain if the horse is 30 to 1 or 40 to 1. If you want to bet a long shot, and I don't know how much of a long shot he's going to be, he's 15 to 1 in the program. Perform has an outstanding chance to win the race, despite the fact that he's likely to be double-digit odds. If you go back and watch his last race, which was here at Pimlico, trained by Suge McGahee, the horse got in more trouble than a sailor on shore leave. I mean, it was like he had no chance to win watching the race. And he only got a chance to run like 100 yards when he finally got clear. And then he just erupts and he mows by horses and looks really good winning. Now, he's in a lot tougher competition, yeah. But he's got a great trainer. He's coming into the race the right way. He's improving. He's got a really good chance to win at a nice price.
So, what is your pick for the Preakness? Because we also there's First Mission as well. There's a lot of people are going to take National Treasure. Which horse do you think is going to win the Preakness?
I'll take National Treasure.
Okay.
I think he's going to control the pace. This is obviously on dirt. That's of primary importance. He's never been in a situation where he had that advantage before in any of his recent races. They've always felt like he was a really, really good horse, just never quite got over the hump, never quite showed them everything that they thought he had. They're putting blinkers on, which a lot of times will help if a horse maybe isn't 100% focused all the time. And with the inside post and John Velasquez and a lack of competing early speed, plus the blinkers, I think he'll control the pace. To me, that gives him the edge.
Okay. This might be a dumb question, but do they monitor how much the horses sleep the night before the race?
Monitor, it depends on your definition of monitor. They have night watchmen on hand. Even if they have a camera in the horse's stall, they don't go back and check that. So, no.
I just wonder if there's any correlation between a well-rested horse running a good race, just like a well-rested human would perform better usually.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure if a horse had a restless, sleepless night for whatever reason, he would be tired on the race day and would not run as well. But they take every precaution, to make sure that there are no disturbances around the barn. They have the night watchman making sure that there's no commotion outside to wake a horse up or anything like that. So, it's hard to say if a horse has a restless night, but if they do, it wouldn't be advantageous. I don't think it happens very often, though. Horses like their sleep.
Yeah.
Just like they like to eat. They like to eat.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm a horse fan. So we can see you as well on Friday with the Black Eyed Susan. Let's talk about that race real quick. Give us your take on the race, and maybe even exotics. Where which horses you think are going to maybe not win but finish in 1, 2, 3.
Well, I'll give you what I think is a really solid exacta. It's probably not going to pay a whole lot. It's not going to be 15 to 1 like Perform, but Feza over Merlata. Okay, and you got the Bob Baffert thing here again in the Black Eyed Susan. The thing about Feza, she's undefeated, right? I think she's 6 for 6. I believe it's 6 for 6, maybe 5 for 5, but she's never been beaten. She won the Santa Anita Oaks by 6.5 lengths. Normally, in most situations, per the Churchill Downs rules this year, the owner of Feza, who is a guy named Michael Lund Peterson, one of the founders of Pandora Jewelry, would have transferred the horse to another trainer, which would have permitted Feza to run in the Kentucky Oaks. But Peterson said, no. Said, I'm not doing that. Said, Bob Baffert's my man. Bob Baffert is the guy who's given me every bit of success I've ever had in thoroughbred racing. I'm going to stay loyal to the team. I'm not going to give the horse to another trainer. We can't run in the Kentucky Oaks. Okay, so what? I'm from Baltimore. We'll just run in the Black Eyed Susan instead of the Kentucky Oaks. So the best 3-year-old filly in the country was not in the Kentucky Oaks, but she will be in the Black Eyed Susan against much easier competition than she would have faced in the Kentucky Oaks anyway.
That's interesting.
I like
So,
that loyalty.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think FaZe is a standout in the Black Eyed Susan, and I really like Barlaza's last race at Oaklawn Park. So I think that's a pretty solid exacta on Friday.
I like Merlaza's. My favorite jockey's on Merlaza, Florent Giroux. He's got
There you go.
his mother-in-law used to be a waitress at Arlington Heights, where there was a racetrack, and every time that she would, like, if we had her, just bet Florent Giroux all day, and he would win everything.
Yeah, he's a good rider. Joelle Rosario rode Merlaza in her last race at Oaklawn Park. They switched to Florent Giroux, and Rosario's agent was not particularly happy about that switch. So she is a horse that's got a good reputation.
Yeah.
How many Preaknesses does this make for you, Randy?
Well, it was my 43rd Kentucky Derby this year, and I'm one shy on the Preakness count. So this would be my 42nd Preakness.
So you gave us some good flavor with what to expect if you're going to the Derby for the first time. I'm from the DC area, so I know a little bit more about the Preakness and the porta potty relays that they do up there. But from your perspective, what if you're going to the Preakness for the first time, what should you expect as a spectator?
The infield, if your tastes run to raucous celebrations, to raucous sort of party atmospheres with good music, by the way. The infield is much more, I think it's more fun at Baltimore than it is at Churchill Downs. They've tightened up security at the Kentucky Derby infield a lot more than they have the Preakness infield. So if you really like that sort of thing, and who doesn't, then the Preakness infield is a whole heck of a lot of fun.
That's a very classy way for you to say it's a shit show. It's just a shit show there.
You've seen the porta potty runs. You know how that works. The grandstand, the facility itself, I would say, if people have never been to the Preakness, have never seen the second leg of the Triple Crown, and I'll try to say this in a diplomatic way, keep your expectations low. The Pimlico is not exactly the garden spot of American horse racing. The grandstand is in various states of disrepair. A portion of it is condemned down at the end, where they can't put fans in it anymore. The plan, and it can't come soon enough, is to tear it down and rebuild a new facility here, which the Preakness greatly deserves. But on the flip side, it is traditional. You can definitely come to the Preakness and say that the grandstand looks exactly like it looked 60, 70 years ago. It just needs a little help, and it will get it. But it's a fantastic, fun event. The people of Baltimore embrace it wholeheartedly. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year. It's always a great week of racing. And as Chick Lang, the guy that used to run Pimlico for years, called Mr. Preakness, what Chick Lang always liked to say, the Preakness has something that the Kentucky Derby will never have. It has the Derby winner.
That's true. That's true.
Good point.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
All right, last question. Any other race, any other horse you're looking at that people can keep their eyes on either Friday or Saturday?
Do you have the entries in front of you there?
What race?
Go to the Dinner Party Stakes on Saturday. I think it's the 7th race, maybe, something like that.
Okay, hold on.
All right. Trainer Graham Motion has 3 horses that he has entered in the Dinner Party Stakes. And the only reason I'm asking you to do this is because I had to rush out here, and I meant to, wait, I've got my computer with me as well if you can't find it. There is a horse, I gave you Up to the Mark. There's a horse that I like just as much in the Dinner Party Stakes, and I've got it right here.
I got it.
His name is Hurricane Dream.
Ooh.
All right. He looked so good winning his last race. He looked like he's going to be one of the best turf horses in America, just like Up to the Mark when he won the Old Forester Turf Classic. So I think you can, in my opinion, you can confidently bet Hurricane Dream in the Dinner Party Stakes. Which race is that?
That is race.
The Dinner Party Stakes is the 8th race.
Love it.
The 8th race Saturday.
All right.
Okay, what does
There
it
you
look?
go.
What are the odds going to look like for Hurricane Dream?
I'm going to guess about 7-2, 3-1, something like that. In the program, he is 7-2. I think he might go a tick lower than that, but that would be a wise investment.
Okay,
I love it.
I'm on it.
I love it. All right. Well, Randy, thank you as always. You are the best. We appreciate your time as always. And love the shirt. Love the shirt.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Thanks so much, Randy. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Randy.
Oh, and by the way, that is Mage. I don't know if you can see in the little gap there, but
Can we say hi? Can we say congratulations?
Oh, look at
Let's
this.
see if we can say
This is my
congratulations.
favorite part. I think we did this one year when a horse got busted for doping, and we apologized to it.
I think was it Nyquist? No, we kicked Nyquist
No,
off Twitter.
that fat piece of
Hey,
shit.
Mike Tirico.
Hey, Mike
Hey,
Tirico!
Mike, hey, Mamma Mia!
Hey,
Good hands, boss. Go. I'm not the VIP. VIP's over there. Go.
Mike
Yeah.
Tirico,
All
come
right.
on, pardon my
Fa-
take.
famous
Oh,
Italian.
Jake has got a
One of the
boner.
many things that makes Mike Tirico so good, he's out here at the barn
Love it.
in the afternoon.
Oh, there's
Hey,
Mage.
hey, Mage, just want to
There he
say
is,
on
right
behalf
there.
of Part of My Take, congratulations on your Derby win. But the Derma Sadagake would have beaten you if it had ran its total race.
Yeah, Randy was proud of Derma, not you, Mage. All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Randy. See ya.
Randy. Kirk Goldsberry was brought to you by our good friend and his new movie. That's right, at Sony Pictures, Burt Kreischer, The Machine. This month, Sony is giving us a new must-see movie to kick off summer starring Burt himself. Based on the outrageous, truest story of Burt Kreischer that blew up the internet, the movie picks up 23 years after the iconic story from Burt's signature set, his true experience with Russian mobsters while on a booze-soaked college trip. That trip from college has come back to haunt Burt as he and his estranged father, played by the legendary Mark Hamill, are kidnapped back to Russia by the mob to atone for something that they say he did. Together, Burt and his father must retrace the steps of his younger self, played by friend of the show, Jimmy Tatro, in the midst of a war within a sociopathic crime family, all while attempting to find common ground in their often fraught relationship. You don't want to miss Burt Kreischer, the man, the myth, the machine. Get your tickets now. The Machine is exclusively in theaters May 26th, rated R.
Okay, let's finish up with some Fyre Fest of the week. Hank,
Yep.
you're stressed?
I am stressed. I'm moving next week. A lot of things going on. Not built for, balancing, planning ahead, packing, organizing, scheduling.
It sucks.
It's not great. And I'm going home this weekend, which is part of my Fyre Fest. So that just adds an extra wrinkle. So I'm just stressed, but it's really, there's nothing to be stressed about other than just the fact that I have to be proactive with a lot of stuff,
Right.
which
Nothing
I'm
to be
not
stressed
good at.
about other than
Stress itself.
moving, buying a new house, getting rid of your furniture, and your favorite basketball teams down 0-1.
Oh, and don't forget fixing the car that he crashed.
Yes. But besides that, smooth sailing.
Easy week. Easy week. Yeah, these are being an adult rules for the most part, but you'll have these times where it's like, this sucks. I really wish I didn't have to, just the act of making decisions, planning things, it sucks.
This is going to sound a little crazy / dramatic, but I was packing yesterday and I legitimately closed my eyes and was like, could I just fast forward a week and a half?
Yeah.
Could
Whoa.
I just open my eyes and I'm in Chicago
We
and
should
I'm
have someone knock us all out.
moved in. It sucks, but I'm excited for a week and a half. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
My other Fyre Fest, so I am going home this weekend. Stella Blue Coffee, just announced a partnership with Cane's Donuts,
Yes.
which is a donut shop in Boston. They have some in Saugus. They have one downtown. And future me, we were in a meeting talking about it. They said, Hank, you going to be in Boston anytime soon? I said, yeah, I'll be home next weekend. And then I said that I would go to a Cane's Donut. I'm going to give out some Stella Blue coffee hats. But I'm playing golf at 9:30, so I'm going at 7 a.m. on Saturday, which future me was like, yeah, sure, I'll just do it first thing in the morning. And now, again, adding that to the plate of things that I have going on is just doesn't make me less stressed.
Well, I mean, you got to get up to play golf anyway. Might as well have some great donuts. Yeah, Cane's Donuts. There are multiple locations. Actually, when Massachusetts got gambling legalized, we went up to do streams, and we were there for the weekend. I went to Cane's Donuts, walked in, got my donuts, walked to the car, and the woman who owns Cane's Donuts poked her head out, and she's like, "Are you Big Cat?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, I'm a huge fan." And then they now carry Stella Blue coffee. So great story, great people, and Hank, you will get to meet them.
Yeah, I'm excited to go. I'm just not excited to wake up, and I got to make sure, I get up for it. But I will be there Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, downtown location. I will be giving out Stella Blue coffee hats if you get there early enough. So come out at 7.
And incredible
get some
donuts.
Stella Blue coffee. Get a donut. We're gonna have some custom 6 Boston cream pie donuts they're making for me. So yeah, come out and get some.
Also, if you are listening to this and you work at a donut place or own a donut place around America, let's talk. Let's get it going.
Let's build.
DM the Stella Blue Coffee account on Instagram or Twitter, because I want to carry Stella Blue Coffee in all the donut shops. So shout out Maria from Cane's Donuts, who was the first to jump aboard. You can get Stella Blue Coffee. If you're in the Boston area, you're getting donuts, Stella Blue Coffee at all Cane's Donut locations now. Beautiful. You're fucked.
Again, like I'm everything. I've spent a lot of the last 2 days just like, because usually it's like, in the flow of a work week, you have 1 or 2 extra things that you have to focus on.
Yeah, no, you're fucked.
I have like 10 things, and every time I'm just like, just don't even think about it. Get me to a week and a half.
Yeah, no, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. You're completely fucked. But
if the Celtics fucking lose on Friday, I'll not be a happy camper at
Suey
Cane's,
season?
but I will be a happy camper.
Suey season?
No, just I'll be happy.
Okay. Put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
All right, PFT.
My Fyre Fest of the week is that I've become addicted to minus signs. I go minus sign hunting.
Yeah.
And for the last couple of weeks, I've been betting pretty heavy on pretty heavy favorites, or taking a lot of props where I'm doing the adjusted overs where it bumps it down a few slots. So the odds are terrible, but I'm laying a lot of money on it, and I've been winning on them. And I'm going to get doinked again. It's basically like, I see this train coming. I'm standing on the tracks, and I'm going to get hit by it eventually. But so far I haven't. And it's giving me a very false sense of confidence that I'm an excellent gambler now.
Yeah.
So I've been, my thing is, I'm a big ass guy. I've been going at the overs for assists for various players each night. And so far the asses are pulling through. But again, that might have something to do with the fact that all the overs are hitting.
Yeah, no, every game's
in
been
these playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, both the first games went like 30 points over the total. So
Yeah.
all the overs hit.
I know, Hank, you're a big plus sign guy, but a lot of people think that it's actually more courageous. It takes bigger balls to go after a minus sign than it does a plus sign, because you got to lay so much on it.
It's actually,
It's
true.
like that's like bail. You're like a bail bonds guy.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
that's definitely not true.
You're just like 30-year fixed income stocks.
I agree with him.
No, but
it's
if you're
not true.
you're putting more money on the line.
Yeah,
You're just
but
investing in Apple, McDonald's, Google. You're playing safe.
No, but you're not playing safe when you put so much money on it to make like a third of what you just bet.
right, but it's more likely to happen, and you're basically saying I don't have the balls to bet something that's wildly unlikely to happen.
That's not what I'm saying at all, because
Billy is the worst gambler and crazy, like not even really a gambler, and he's agreeing with you. That's all you need to know.
who
He
had the best
literally-
record in NFL gambling this year?
But that was straight spreads.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
That had nothing to do
But
with
Hank's bringing up gambling records.
No, I'm saying Billy literally has a system where he just bets both sides, so he can say he won like $1.
Right,
And
he's not gambling. Billy
and
doesn't
He's
gamble.
saying that
I just
I
had-
agree.
Billy's
with you.
actually so scared of gambling, he bets both sides, and he's saying you're right.
Because it would be worse to lose like a minus 200 bet.
But
than
it doesn't
to
take
lose
bigger
a plus.
balls. Like the betting, the unlikely outcome is the most people can't bet like, oh, this plus 10 underdog, I'm going to bet a money line. That's bigger balls.
But the
Than
payout's
taking
so much bigger.
minus 10, like taking like, oh, Celtics minus, let's say 275 against the Sixers in Game 7. If you were going to bet that money line, you shouldn't brag about that bet.
But the risk reward's higher. You know what? Never mind.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're risking more money, but it's not
Correct.
like right.
Yeah, the risk reward is higher, so you could lose. in my brain, every bet has the same ability to win or lose.
Okay,
Right,
well,
okay.
I feel a little bit less happy about my recent wins. It obviously,
I like what you're doing.
It
These
obviously
days doesn't take. It's riskier to do the
when you
long shots.
when you put in the amount. I guess for me it feels riskier because I'm going into
putting
it
more at
fully
risk. Yeah.
fully well aware of the fact that this could lose in disastrous fashion
Mm-hmm.
because I have been doinked in the past, and that was a big wake up call. But I'm addicted to minus signs on the course, Hank, and in my betting life.
Hank
Unlike
said
you.
it was giving him anxiety when he saw it.
Yeah, so takes balls.
I rode with you.
Exactly.
Takes
But-
balls.
But then, did you have what happened? So we were texting last night, and you said Marcus Smart over 4.5 assists, like minus 200 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it with you, solidarity.
Yep.
And then he had 9 assists in like 10 minutes, and I was like, well, that was stupid. We could have won so much more money.
Yeah, so I did feel that way, but then I
Yeah.
also it was great because I got to spend the rest of the 3/4 of the game worrying about my other bets.
Right.
So that's just like let's check
Check
one
it
off the board.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one problem. Also, still a lingering Fyre Fest is next week. I have to go up in that F-18, and yeah, and now it's becoming scary again. I was
Yeah.
pumped, and then I was scared, then I was pumped. Now I'm scared again.
Just accidentally schedule like a reunion rugby tournament.
Oh, you know
Same
what?
time.
I actually did get an invitation, but
Usually good for one of those a year.
odds are safe. Yeah, I'm retired until next October again, and then I'll come back.
You're like, I accidentally did this.
But like likelihood of getting injured is far higher playing in one rugby game than it is going up in one warplane.
yeah, true. Although the injury is more severe in the warplane.
Possibly,
I would say definitely.
possibly yes. I wouldn't even call it an injury.
Yeah, I don't think you like strain your calf muscle in a F-18.
But if you are looking to go to the air show, I think it's going to be next Saturday and Sunday. We'll get a promo code up there, so we're going to have discounted tickets if you live in the Scranton area or the Poconos area.
Nice. Okay, my Fyre Fest. It's pretty simple. I'm just never gonna sleep again. I just realized that this week especially. I think I'm gonna be tired for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
it just happened. It's just I think obviously the third kid helped with that, but yeah, I had the realization 5 to 6 hours of sleep for me now is like I did good, and that's ridiculous.
So going back to what we were talking about earlier about how being a grown-up kicks ass, there are times when I'll just stay up late just because I remind myself, oh yeah, I can stay up late whenever I want. But when you have kids that interrupt that, then it's not your choice.
No.
And it's them messing with things. A related thing, probably not, it's not impacting my lack of sleep as much as yours, but I'm having to pee more in the night. Like I'm getting up twice in the middle of the night now to go take a piss, that's pretty bad too.
That is bad.
You should probably get your
Prostate's coming.
prostate checked.
You wanna
we're
check
doing-
it?
Well, we're doing that together, PFT and I.
Yeah.
We get them at the same time
It's dangerous.
on our birthday kiss.
I got to get on those kegels.
Yeah. But it doesn't. It does suck. I mean, Hank, you can't relate to this. I don't know. A lot of people probably can't. But just being like, I'll never sleep again. I don't know I don't know the next time I'll sleep.
Sunday.
me this
during
weekend.
PGA Championship.
Yeah. But no, that won't even
Take a little nap.
I don't think so. I am the king now of 10-minute naps.
Yeah.
I can I'll nap for 10 minutes in everyone's face. But yeah, it's a pretty shitty feeling being like, oh yeah, when's the next time I can sleep?
Yeah.
Never.
Sleep. I think as you get older, sleep becomes better than sex.
It's the best thing ever. You
would-
have energy. You eat better. All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Billy.
I got cucked by Business Insider, but it's kind of my fault.
Okay.
So the JP Morgan AI surveillance thing was all true.
Okay.
But I was kind of like, I try to fire early on some of these stories, just like before all the facts are out and before I can confirm, just to be first to it.
Yep.
Smart.
it's-
Smart.
That's how news gets
Journalism
made.
101.
exactly what Jake learned freshman year.
Yeah.
Just always be first.
You'd rather be
Yeah.
first than right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Be first or be a parody site. And then, so I fire off a lot of stories and they end up in the pending review tab of the blog back end. So some don't get posted. And then this one just got caught up with all of my pending, like crazy blogs.
Can you read off your pendings real quick?
Okay.
I'd like to see
Probably
that.
got a lot of
one
there.
of them.
This sounds like the worst thing Business Insider's ever done to us here.
Yeah, well, actually, they were the ones who took down the Reddit post.
Oh.
So I was getting DM'd because they wanted to be first to the story.
Oh, fuck them.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck them for a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
but
for a lot of
really
reasons.
fuck them.
Well, that's also, Billy, the fact that they took down the Reddit post, I think you said was you saw a reply to a reply that told you that that's why it got taken down.
Well, no, that's ended up why.
Oh, all right.
They first thought it was JP Morgan, but then they're like, oh no, it was Business Insider because they didn't want to leak their source. Because I was getting DMs from JP Morgan managers like talking about AI because we were talking about it. Yeah. I was like, okay. Then once I saw the Reddit post, I was like, okay, I'm writing this shit.
Mm-hmm. I want to see your last. You just read off your last 5 blog titles. By the way, I forgot one other Fyre Fest. I think we're just chicks now. So Jason Whitlock was writing about Pat McAfee, and he wrote, "No amount of money, security, and attention satiates a weak man. He behaves no differently than a woman. The moment a woman secures a Louis Vuitton bag, she covets a Fendi. The bag seduces men to act like women. Pat McAfee's the latest example. So wanting money is female behavior.
It is.
So,
fellas,
unfortunately, guilty as charged. I think I'm a chick.
Fellas, is it gay to have a bank account?
Yeah. Is it, fellas, is it gay to have a 401k?
Dude, imagine carrying around a bunch of wadded up pieces of paper with pictures of dudes on it.
Imagine saving. Imagine saving money. No, never catch me doing that.
Female behavior.
That's chick behavior.
I also like the undercurrent and all that is just like at all costs, do not be a female. That's kind of what Jason's saying, which is that's sus.
Whitlock is like, I would love to study his brain. It's just, it's like a rotten apple.
Yeah.
I think there's worms inside of his brain.
The bag he's securing is Funyuns.
Yeah. Okay.
I got him.
All right.
The results of the Mincy experiment.
Okay.
Travis Kelce spiked a Lombardi trophy.
Okay. We went through that. Yeah.
The Pinkertons raid a YouTuber's house over Magic the Gathering cards. Bikini lady combats hunters with methed up deer in a duct tape bikini.
Okay, that one should have been posted.
Okay, yeah.
It turns out it was fake.
Oh,
yeah.
All
right.
I was trying to get on first.
Besides the Mincy, I think you're all fake so far.
Yeah, they're all.
I actually think that people are just writing stories specifically so that Billy will blog them.
Yeah.
Because that meth bikini hunting zombie deer thing, that's like something that you dreamed while you fell asleep listening to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
They killed the world's largest toad. Dead animal, not allowed to be posted.
Okay.
That's
literally a Billy rule.
Wait,
that's literally a Billy rule. At the top of the blog, it says, "Don't stop posting dead animals and Nazis."
Yeah, so
the second part had nothing to do with me.
We have 2 rules. I'm looking at the back end right now. Rule number 1 is be funny, don't be not funny. Rule number 2 is no more dead animals.
Yeah.
That's it, and that's it.
Derek Wolf saves town from giant cougar, falls under dead animals.
And Nazis are off limits too. That's the other part of under no more dead animals.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Tate just caught a case. I was on the Andrew Tate beat, but we didn't post him.
Okay, tough beat.
Sam Bankman-Fried made tens of millions of dollars of illegal campaign donations.
Is that true or false?
Fake?
I was getting there first.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
See, that one actually could get you sued.
Yeah, easily.
Baker Mayfield.
Imagine if Sam Bankman-Fried comes out on top after all this. He has to give back hundreds of millions, but then he also gets to take hundreds of millions from Penn Entertainment because of Billy.
The bank accounts equal out to defrauding people of billions of dollars based on Billy's enormous amount of libel cases. There's always money in the banana stand.
Baker Mayfield is anti-turf and thinks Big Turf is behind ankle injury.
Okay.
And then the rest we're going to look around.
Well, that one sounded good. Give us one more. That last one that you just kind of trailed off.
Dead Nazi bear killed by Jewish bear.
Yeah.
Tom Brady taught Mac Jones a dirty trick.
Oh.
That was also not real.
Ah, damn. Okay. Well, it's good we have filters in place. You are Creed thoughts. Even for the internet, it's quite shocking. Okay. Good Fyre Fest, Billy. So the story was real, but
the other stories that I thought were real that didn't get posted sort of put it into that category.
Right. Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah. You got a reputation. It was a reputation foul.
Look, I just shoot from the hip.
Yeah. You got a reputation tech.
You should start your own blog that's just things that I think are real.
Yeah. Please note this blog is not real.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, finish us off.
Yeah, this one's pretty simple. I'm sending you guys the picture right now, but I ripped my jeans yesterday.
Uh-oh.
I was just sitting at my desk, and I saw my boxers when I looked down. This would not have happened if I was wearing Muggsy. I'd get myself more Muggsy. But it was a pretty big...
Damn, Jake, this is a graphic photo.
This is Cake Marsh.
Pretty big rip.
Jake, this is extremely graphic thing to send to your coworker. You're like Roman Roy.
Oh, damn, Jake.
Yeah.
You're sending us graphic pictures.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday.
Tough.
That's a weird pose.
It was just putting my foot up so I could
I don't think anyone could
angle.
see that you had a... ripping your jeans?
Jake, who else have
Probably
you
not.
sent this to?
Some people would pay for that.
Nobody.
I wear ripped jeans like for like maybe 2 weeks after they
Oh,
actually
easily,
rip. Yeah.
easily.
But near your balls. No.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. That's where they rip every time.
Unless
right in the
your
crotch.
actual dick can flop out, I'll wear ripped jeans.
I also rip a pair of jeans once a month.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I get cheap jeans.
Oh, okay. Got to go Muggsy.
Yeah, gotta
Yeah.
go Muggsy.
Yeah,
This is
gotta go
a
Muggsy.
lesson that I need to go
Max
Muggsy
is
or bust.
allegedly going to the gym. He sent us a Photoshop picture.
It was not a photo. That was a real picture.
Sure it was.
On the elliptical?
yeah.
No, it was actually on the treadmill. I was doing
Whitlock's
an incline walk.
Whitlock's going to call you a chick if he catches you on that elliptical. Okay. Let's finish off. Memes. Where's Memes? Has he ever gotten this? Memes! Let's do numbers.
I'll go 1.
26.
I'll go 17.
18.
Hey, Memes. Have you ever gotten this?
20.
No.
Okay. What's your number, Memes?
1.
Oh, I just took 1.
He took one.
17.
I already have 17.
99.
99's available.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, say your numbers real quick again.
1.
17.
26.
18.
20.
Come on, Memes. I'm actually rooting for Memes.
12.
12.
7.
Okay, we'll see everyone on Monday.
Love you guys.
Chimps will hunt Columbus monkeys.